Hey, man.
White men great till they gotta be great. Woo! I just took a DNA test, turns out I'm 100% that bitch. Even when I'm crying crazy, yeah, I got boy problems, that's the human in me. Bling bling, then I solve them, that's the goddess in me. You could've had a bad bitch, not committal. Help you with your career, just a little. You supposed to hold me down.
I'm trying to think of the next lyrics. Something like sound. Something about calling me back or something like that. I was like, bro, I was like, this is like the only like Lizzo song that I know like that. But hey, what's happening, y'all? Welcome back to the forecast, y'all.
Good.
Is this cheat okay? Let's get it. That's it. I'm ready to go. Let's get it. Let's go.
Honestly, I think the intros, y'all listen to us enough. So I'm sure y'all know who I am. For those of you who don't know, keep listening. Go to previous episodes and you'll find out who I am.
I hear that. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a mystery. No gravity falls over here. Anyway, it's cool, great. Ain't much else to say. It was cooler than cool, great. That's it.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Joe So, if you ain't know so. Ready to pod, and I'm very upset about the song choice.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Starting it off.
Yeah.
Legit did not expect that though.
I mean, I had to pay homage, you know.
To
what?
I mean, because we had to give the females some love. So
Oh, but there's a lot of other songs.
There
that we
are a lot of the females too.
Tons of
I
other
mean,
There are a lot of the females
but,
too.
I mean, essentially, she was in the news, so I feel like to lead the way, you know. It's like, why not like do Lizzo? I mean, truth hurts because I'm sure everyone, she got a lot of truth when she was, you know, looking the ass, showing the ass.
Stupid.
Come on,
Therefore, I figure
Hey man,
What's wrong with this guy, man?
Look, man, I don't care. Like I know what we talked about last week, but yeah, she's hot trash.
Oh wow.
She's wildin'.
Come on, damn.
she's out of control.
She gotta stop. She has to be stopped.
Come on, yo.
She's gotta be.
She's gotta be stopped. Because look, man, I know we talked about it in the group chat. Like, I don't care what she looks like. The way she showed up to that game was trash, bro. It was trash.
She did it for the clout, bro.
I don't care what. I don't care why she did it.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, that was look, man. You know, do what you want to do. Like, but you're at a game where you know there's gonna be kids, like children and families, and like, and not only do you show up like that. Like it's fine. You're sitting down, I guess, because we can't really see your open butt, whatever.
Wasn't she twerking good as hell?
But they put the screen on her, and she proceeds to turn around and twerk in a thong and an open shirt.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a complete open. I thought there was like some kind of like protective thing, and then I saw it, and I was just like, oh, she like went full. Oh,
she's making a fool of her.
So quick things I want to throw out there. Two things. As far as memes go, I saw two things that actually caught my attention. I was like, you know what? Whoever made these memes were the real MVPs of this whole situation. One was of that happening, her doing that on the big screen. And then they cut over to Kobe walking out with his kids, walking out of the Staples Center.
That was a good one.
And then the other one I saw, what was it? Oh, just comparing her to a wrestler. I'm a big wrestler fan. And apparently she was very reminiscent of the wrestler known as Rikishi. For those who don't know who that is, you can look him up. Or just imagine a sumo wrestler who had a very, very small diaper on. So yeah, that was
you can't unsee that. Rikishi, like, bro, when I used to watch wrestling, I had to change the channel when he came out because no, you can't unsee that. Like when I saw that, I was like, but I will say, her doing it is unacceptable. However. Rihanna.
See, this is the double standard.
Rihanna.
That's what I'm saying.
Baby girl.
Okay, so
if you watching, you can do whatever you want.
No, she can't. She can't. I'll be real. I got to keep it 100. Like if she showed up that way, it'd still be trash.
Yeah, that's true. That's
it'll
not
still
fine.
be trash.
Save it for home. That's right. But I'm just saying you get a pass.
Lizzo, but my thing is like this is not Lizzo's first time doing stuff like this. Like I understand you want attention, but like you making yourself look stupid. And I, for one, am not here for it. Like I told you, I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it. So there's my 2 cents, and I really don't have to talk about it anymore. I don't want to. I really.
I'm not here for it.
I really don't want to talk about it.
He's here for a lot of stuff, just not that.
Yeah. No, I understand your take on it, and that's the thing. Pretty much, we were talking about like basically the double standard of the whole thing. Outside of the double standard, clearly of like of the thing of actually going to the basketball game dressed as that. I get it. Kids, families, all that are there pretty much. It's like, all right, that ain't the look. But at the same time, I don't think that, like you brought up Rihanna, I feel like if Rihanna had pulled up to that game in that same exact fit, we wouldn't have heard as much about it. She would have been getting more shine off of it. Even though I hear you, she would have been getting more shine by it. So there's a double standard there.
We would have heard about it just as much. Just the reactions wouldn't have been with our stomachs turning over. It'd have been
more.
But honestly, Rihanna is classy. She probably wouldn't have turned around and started twerking in a thong at a basket.
Oh no, she
That's a good point. That's a good point. She I can see her actually coming there something maybe not so revealing, but close. But she wouldn't have twerked.
All I'm saying is that there are also a bunch of dudes that are probably out there, or a bunch of people that are probably out there in general that were like, yeah, Lizzo, go get that. Yeah,
probably. I'm sure, but
no, I'm not even talking about it the same. I'm talking about like how we just brought up Rihanna. Like they were probably like, I'm feeling that.
You just got that.
It's like so.
That's why I was looking at this dude.
Here's the thing.
Shout out to everybody on all.
There are men like myself. That's not my type.
Yeah.
But there are men who are out there who that's definitely their type.
Exactly.
That's right. I mean,
all right.
But I'm just saying. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean,
Sweetie, is that her name?
Exactly. See, Rihanna, like she's great, but I would definitely say I would view her in a different light if she did do that. So that's very understandable.
Yeah.
It looks no better that Lizzo did it. I mean, at the end of the day, she shouldn't have did it.
Period.
I don't know what the hell was going through her head. Her stylist head. Whoever the hell
it was publicity.
I don't think anyone styled her. She did that.
No, I think
she chose to do that.
I feel like she had an outfit picked out, and she's like, you know what, I'm gonna wear this shit.
I think there was a collab.
So like, okay.
Sit down.
Okay. So she probably did have a stylist who picked out her outfit.
Yeah.
Then she got to the, up to her hotel. Her stylist was no longer there, and she thought she had a really good idea, and that really good idea turned out to be like
a really bad idea.
A really, really bad idea.
But I think it was a good idea though, because all she was trying to here's the thing.
You got
all she was trying
Yeah.
I think it was a good idea because all she was trying to do was get attention from it. Yeah. That's it. Like that's why it was the good idea.
Not all cloud is good.
And also
not all cloud is good.
No, I got you. But she started a conversation. We literally just started.
It's the same conversation we always have about Lizzo.
Right.
That's a good point.
No, but we do. But
it's always the same conversation.
To be fair though, that's the thing is that like people in these positions though often end up having to do these kind of things for conversations like that to take place, even if it's for better or for worse. You know what I'm saying? Because if they put it more in your face and are like, yo, this is basically what it is, that kind of thing, there's more of a combo I had about it. There's more of a, like, I don't want to say, like, when I say normalcy, I don't mean normalcy in the way of, like, oh, you showing your whole ass at a Lakers game. Yeah. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about, like, actually just, okay, like, that's her. This is her. She wants to be. This is her. She's doing that. That's it.
But,
so it's more of a combo in that direction.
My thing is, like, there are other ways to start a conversation. There are other ways to start a conversation, and that is by talking.
But that's what he's just saying. He's just saying no one would listen to her. She just talked.
Yeah, she got to sing.
She went on. If she went on Ella's show and she had this conversation, would it be as impactful?
There are people. I disagree. I think if she actually wanted to talk to someone, and let's say she went on a podcast, let's say she went on a talk show, and actually discussed like the issues, how they should be discussed, I think people will listen. I really do.
That's actually true because Cardi B was kind of essentially Cardi B. She's very revealing. But when you actually see Cardi B, we actually see her on like a lot of her interviews and things like that. People actually listen. Like she actually addresses like real.
But she had to do a lot of different things to get people to start listening to her because she'd shown this. It was basically in her way of showing a different side of herself. That's what I'm saying. Like Lizzo's kind of in that realm right now of doing that. Like Cardi had to be, in a sense, pretty much the loud, unabashed chick that was like, oh no, I'm here and y'all are gonna know it. And then she was like, oh no, but I'm more than this now.
I don't
That's
know.
what I'm saying.
But that's just who she is.
It is, but I'm saying she had to get your attention first. That's what I'm saying.
She is. I can't stand Cardi and Rhythm and Flow.
Okay.
I really
But I feel like Lizzo. I feel like this is not who Lizzo is. I feel like
I don't think it is.
I don't
think it is either.
No, I agree. She's trying hard. That's why I said
sensitive.
she's going after clout. But I'm saying she's still getting people to have a conversation. And in some parts, there are important parts of it. So
I think she
get
confused
that
herself with Meg Thee Stallion. She usually doesn't wear a lot of clothes.
So
she can get away with that.
So it was a wardrobe.
Yeah, it was around. Yeah, like I think maybe it was hot in LA. She's like, you know, it's too hot outside. Like, just take my ass off. Like, you know, like I don't know, but Meg can get away with it because she bad.
But that's her gimmick though. Like that's Meg's whole gimmick.
But
I mean,
still
little
double
do we
standard,
know.
y'all.
I mean,
That's
Meg
what I'm
can
saying.
rap.
I guess it's a double standard, but here's the thing. That's not who Lizzo that's not who Lizzo is portraying herself as. She's portraying her as someone who's I'm pro positive body,
For
positivity. Sure. But Megan's like, I'm a freak, a real big old freak. so of course you're gonna show up in a public place in a thong.
Right.
I feel
This
you.
person is for body positivity.
Yeah, well,
You're not showing up in a thong for body positivity. You're doing it for a conversation, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But you're not doing it because you really are just like, oh, this is me.
No, I got you on that.
Yeah.
I do think, I've already told y'all this, like, I think Lizzo is a tryhard. I think there are certain things that she does where I'm like, on it, this kind of included there. But I get what she was trying to do with the whole thing. That's basically what I'm trying to get
She
across.
said my name's gonna get mentioned one way or
I'm
another.
gonna say this: Lizzo is annoying. I'm really upset that we spent this much time talking about Lizzo.
Well, that's how it goes when you start talking about plants,
I'm gonna be
bro.
honest.
Meg worked with Sierra and it was great,
I'd
but
rather not
Lizzo, no.
talk about Lizzo anymore.
I will say this. I'm going to end off this part by saying, Lizzo, I may not really rock with the music and everything. It's catchy stuff. Great. I'm happy you're winning. That's it. I'm happy to see you win.
I'm
So,
happy to see
keep
you in
winning.
close.
With that being said,
All right.
come to the show. Joe is probably not going to be here if you come, but come to the show.
Wow.
He
Yeah,
will.
yes.
He will
I mean,
not
I'll
want
have
to
a
be here.
conversation with her. Like I'll ask her why she does the things that she does. Like I'm not against that. Like I'm not afraid of having a conversation with somebody. But,
Okay.
you know,
Then it
I
comes.
would ask some hard questions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm not gonna be like some of these people out here who just
Sure.
go Lizzo.
Lizzo pulled up, but we're just going to, like, no, I get it.
I mean, she
All right.
said you could have had a bad.
I have a story. I have a story to tell y'all. I was saving this for the podcast.
Okay.
So last week, I was dog sitting. I was dog sitting for John here.
So I know you dog sit? Because,
Yeah.
oh, cool.
Good job.
Good
But so I didn't tell John the story because I really was saving it for today.
Okay.
So I go over there, right?
We're gonna see what happens.
John's dog is named Jax, by the way. So I'll go over there, feed Jax, hang out with Jax for a minute, take her out. Mind you, this is like the day before they were coming back. And I go over there, it's like late at night. I go over there and open the door. I look in and there's Jax. Jax runs out the door. Right? And I'm like, oh no. Oh my God. And so I quickly grab the leash and I run out. And Jax she's like walking around trying to use the bathroom. And every time I get closer to Jax starts to run. And so this continued to happen for about the next 20 minutes.
Oh, damn.
I can't dog sit.
I thought you were going to say at least wrapped up in like a cool like
Get this.
5 max.
So get this, right? So I'll try to describe the best of my ability John's apartment complex because that's where I was running after Jax.
Okay.
All right, so we leave John's house and there's like a little like grassy area right there. Oh my gosh! And I'm chasing after Jax and she runs behind this little area. And I'm like, Jax, come here, Jax, come here. And she comes back, she runs right past me, and proceeds to like run like in front of the front gate. And John it's a gated community, so I'm like, thank God, because that would have been bad, right? So she runs past the front gate and she runs in between she runs down the sidewalk and into this grassy area, like kind of near this pond. And I was like,
Okay.
was like, oh my God, I lost these people's dog. Like this, oh my God, this is terrible. I'm like, I'm running after Jax, like running. I'm probably stepping in all sorts of stuff, right? We end up at the freaking dog park.
So John didn't take her to the dog park.
I mean, so normally I would walk in, I would, feed her. If it was at night, I would just walk in, like, get the leash, and we'd walk for a little bit. I had no idea there was a dog park. I really did. I had no idea. Jax just, she just ran, and then she ran it. The gate was open. She just ran into the dog park, and I was just like,
just trying to tell you something.
you got me running out here in the middle of the night, 10 o'clock, and you trying to play. I was so mad. I was so pissed, bro. But,
all right.
I was like, all right, she knows where the dog park is, so John probably takes her to the park all the time.
So here's a few things. It's crazy that you kept that from me. That's crazy. Because I would have no idea if you hadn't just told me. And now I got to go back and tell my wife. I'm not surprised she did that to you, man. I mean, I'll be honest. She's never ran out like that on me. But to think about the fact that she went to the dog park makes sense to me. I don't take her to the dog park all the time, so it's not super common. But she knows the whole apartment complex.
Yeah.
So that's probably just a blessing that she went to the dog park and nowhere else.
Yes.
Oh, also, yes, I do live in a gated community,
John.
next to a lake.
Yep.
With the dog park.
Yep. Bougie.
According to his wife, I live in a very bougie complex, and yes, I have granite top counters,
hardwood floors.
Hardwood floors.
Very nice party. Honestly,
shout out to Shiner Bach as well.
No.
Somebody give us a freaking sponsorship.
Yeah, just sponsor.
We shout out so many people.
That was free clout.
We shout out so many people and so many companies. Someone needs to give us some money.
Yep. I agree.
So, first, you doxed it. That's great. Now I know. That's amazing. Secondly, might I say you are a better man than me. 20 minutes? Bro, 20 minutes running after a dog?
I do appreciate going after my dog. I appreciate that for real.
I was not going to let, I wasn't going to let the dog go.
I can tell you right about now, nigga. That dog would have 2 minutes. Maybe 4. And I would have been like, you know what? This damn dog gone. That's why I don't dox it. Because I can tell you right now, if my dog would have ran out, that's game over.
She's like, oh, you gone. You good. I don't need you no more.
Obviously, you can make it on your own. It's kind of like when you get out. So, you can make it on your own. Clearly.
But that's not what that means. It's like talking about like your kid running away from home for like 20 minutes or like an hour or something like that.
And
then
they're
they're
like,
like,
I'll be at my house. They're going to come back. But the dog going to come back. So I'm like, they're going to come back. Obviously, you're a survivor.
You are a
But honestly, I thought the story was tied into how he was saying like he was running after a dog and like the dog didn't want to come back. I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, I was kind of worried there for a minute.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
oh my gosh.
I thought that was like being related to what we were just talking. Lizzo's clothes ran away from her. She tried to put them on or something like that. So I was like, oh, maybe that's why she ended up in the outfit she did. But I saw he was going somewhere different with that.
what are you doing?
I thought that's what he was saying. Like, he's like, that's how I feel about Lizzo's clothes. Like, them motherfuckers ran away. Like, she kept trying to chase them. I'm like, but I don't know. But
I got a quick shout out. My homie Isaiah came up last weekend during Thanksgiving. I guess 2 weekends ago now, but we hung out and he was like, he's an avid listener. He said he listens all the time.
My
dog. Hey, Isaiah, shout out.
My dog.
Also, let's see. Shout out to the CW. Shout out to the CW. They're doing Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Wow.
Let's put it this way, y'all. They literally just finished watching an episode right before we started recording.
Some people definitely died tonight. A lot of people definitely died. If you're not an Arrowverse watcher, that's the Flash, Arrow, the Flash, Supergirl, Batwoman, Black Lightning, and Legends. Legends of Tomorrow. Okay. So they're doing this huge crossover like they do every year, but this time they're doing Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is a classic comic book story. And basically, in that story, Barry dies, who's the Flash, and Supergirl dies. They're doing it a bit differently this year. The first 3 episodes of this week, there were Sunday, Monday, and today, which is Tuesday, and we're waiting another month for them to show the other 2. But shout out to CW, man.
It was some good stuff. I'm a fan. I watched Arrow when that first came on, and that really kept my attention until like things just got weird. But I appreciate what they did. They brought in a lot of superheroes, not just from those shows that are on CW, but like old shows, old movies. Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm always a fan of comic book stuff as a whole, but I thought that was pretty cool. I know we got a lot of the stuff we want to get to.
Real quick, I do have a question.
Hey, what's up?
If we were in an alternate universe, what do you think you would be like?
If we were in an alternate,
if you were on another Earth,
what would be the alternate version of you?
Let's call it Earth-4.
Okay, Earth-4.
So wait, this is Earth-1, I'm assuming.
Ideally, this is
okay.
Earth-1.
I was like,
we want to be in the prime universe.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Alternate universe.
So what would be an alternate version of yourself?
I'd still be the realest nigga out there.
Okay.
Oh my god!
Just so y'all know, no matter what universe, but just so you know, let's see, what would an alternate universe version of myself be?
Alternate version of myself. So it'd be like totally opposite of what I am now.
Not necessarily.
I would say,
It could be like if you made
Superman Bizarro type thing.
If you made like a decision
that would have changed.
I'd be a billionaire.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be in the NBA.
I'd be a billionaire.
I'd be in the NBA. Or I would actually play football when I was supposed to, and I'd be in the NFL. One of the two.
He said, "I'm just gonna pick up the rock and just make it to the league."
That ain't how it goes, bro. What's the one thing I'm not doing right now that I know I'm not gonna go do?
Yeah.
That's the ultimate me.
Yeah. Instead of Jeff Bezos, I'd be Josh Bezos.
See, that's something. Amazon,
right, man.
That's something. What y'all got?
Josh, amazing.
That's something.
Amazon, it'd be amazing.
I'm trying to think of what are some
something really stereotypical.
Yeah, well, yeah, for me.
That's what I was thinking. Something really stereotypical.
Because I feel like it would be similar to what I'm doing now, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Good question. I feel like in an alternate universe, like I think there's a point in time where I really like I could have gone like the artistic route and like focused on like music and all that stuff, but I focused on sports in high school a lot. So I feel like maybe in an alternate universe I'd be like, I don't know, some type of musician or singer or some type of.
That was an option for you, yeah.
I don't know, actor.
Okay,
painter.
I can see that. Okay, yeah.
I would have tried to get into the more artistic side instead of acting, instead of sports and fitness and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not gonna hold y'all. Like, I really feel like I would be doing something similar to what I'm doing right now. I can't think. Yeah, I was like, I can't. Like, I don't like. The only thing is that like I feel like I probably would have hit a lick off something, and just would have been like cool, but like
I'd be kid free.
You would be kid free. I can see that alternate version of you being kid
If
free.
I'm a billionaire, ain't nobody getting that kind of money.
only you could state stuff like this
and have a kid. And currently have a kid. And still be like, hey, yo,
my dog. That's my homie. That's my number one love. However, if I was a billionaire, look here, ain't nobody getting this. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like in any universe, my ultimate search would just be basically just like happiness, like making sure everything's good around, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know. I feel like that's really similar to this. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to like think. Like, what would I have hit a lick off of?
I would have got Beyonce before Jay-Z did.
How, Josh?
Yeah, but you wouldn't have known. It's not like a
because
Back to the Future.
What year was that?
I had Benjamin Button.
What year did they get together?
Like 2008 or 2003.
Bro, no, here's the
thing.
Hey, bro, here's the
so
other.
we were 10.
So you were like,
I had Benjamin Button.
We were 10 years old.
I had Benjamin Button.
Okay.
So you'd be
so
Jack.
alternate.
Not the Jazz. You'd be Jack.
So
anyway, okay, real quick.
I'd be older and then finish my life. You know, come on now.
Real quick. Okay, so no.
Go ahead.
Okay, this is the alternate universe.
I'd be older.
In this universe, Beyonce might be Michelle Williams, for all we know.
Whoa now.
I'm just saying, this alternate universe.
That hurts to think, but yeah, you did say alternate. You're right. Yeah, good point.
Or
yeah.
she could have been the one to go instead of Aaliyah.
Oh,
I ain't getting that dark with it, bro.
I mean, you know. You gotta kind of think about it.
Honestly,
Like if she were.
okay, how about this? I would have got Aaliyah before R. Kelly did.
So when she was
Josh,
16.
Once again,
You were like,
we were
2.
like, yeah.
This makes no sense.
That would be farther back.
Makes
I would
no
still
sense.
have Benjamin Button. Okay, I'm telling you.
So in an alternate universe, that disease actually exists.
Yeah, it'd be a Button Benjamin.
Yeah, nobody talks about how.
What do you want to talk about, John?
Hey yo. So rap is awesome.
Okay.
Yes.
And you know, there are a couple people rapping right now that probably shouldn't be rapping, and they're rapping at each other.
Okay.
Yes, you're
So,
exactly right. And we talked about this last week.
We talked about Eminem and how he kind of has fallen off, or he's not really trying, or we're not really sure what Eminem's situation is.
Right.
But he had a feature recently. He featured on a track by Fat Joe.
Yeah. Shout out to Fat Joe. Shout out to Dre.
Which he should be on the list of people who shouldn't still be rapping. But
I honestly didn't know if Fat Joe still made music.
Also,
Exactly.
guys, this is his retirement album, y'all.
What?
Yeah, like he said he's retiring after this album.
I thought he's been
Who?
retired.
Fat Joe.
Oh, he made All the Way Up.
Yes, he did with Remy
And he
Ma.
went all the way
Yes,
down.
that was.
He also made what's the
There's no Fat Joe slander.
Lean Back. Yeah.
I don't know.
Lean
I got nothing
Lean
bad to say
Back.
about
We
Fat
leaned
Joe,
back
but I
long
still
time
know he's
ago.
still rapping.
We were leaning back.
I was like, how you gonna go forget about Make It Rain?
Boy.
Okay,
was
Make It
like
Rain was fine
08.
because that was classic Lil
Wayne
Wayne.
was on the
But that was a
Classic
classic
Lil
song.
Wayne.
I know, but
Love?
Wayne was on the hook.
And they have a bunch of remixes to that too.
They did. They had, cause that's when DJ Khaled started just doing his thing.
Like there was a period of time where remixes were like
All the way down.
thing.
They were.
Remixes were
Low
like
key.
y'all
Sometimes
remember,
the remixes are better
Touch It
than the regular
remix. Y'all
song.
remember that?
Touch It,
They
yeah.
made like 20 remixes to Touch It.
You got everybody on
It's
there.
like 20 Touch It.
This is the
remixes.
ultimate one. Your guy, the game with One Blood.
Hey,
Dear
that remix was
goodness.
crazy.
one
That
blood
mega
round
mix was like
Yes.
25 minutes
it
long.
It was tight though.
I'm saying there was at one point when the remix was better than the regular song. Like for example,
Yeah, without question.
What's that song? "Crying Out for Me" by Mario with Wayne on that. Bro,
Yes, that's
Wayne
so
had a
much
whole
better.
conversation.
You love
on
that. You
song.
love
That
that.
was-
You
Bro,
love
that song goes hard.
He quotes
Said,
his
I
verse
talked
all
to
the
He
time.
said, "What's up?" I said, "Not much." I said, "What's up?" You know, I'm like, what? This is a whole conversation, bro. Even Drake said the whole was fire. I was like, bro.
But there was a point when remixes were everywhere. Like a song would be really big, and then they dropped the remix, and that was really big for the next 3 months. Like Lollipop by itself was huge.
Bro.
Then they put Kanye on
Kanye
it.
got in that hoe, bro. Like, and then like Finesse with Bruno Mars and Cardi B, like, bro, that thing blew up whenever.
Yeah, because the original, no one
Yeah.
listened to the original
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
He said
There wasn't even-
it's
there wasn't
the
even
same
a music
song,
video.
just not Cardi B.
There wasn't even a
Like,
music
you
video
don't
for
know
it
that.
until Cardi was on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
So-
bro. It's crazy. Like remixes, like back in the day, it'd be sometimes a remix, but some remixes were like flops.
Yeah,
More often than not.
I think they're
You
actually
know,
more. Yeah.
you know what's,
Yeah,
you know what's probably
there's
one of my
something
favorite
like-
remixes?
Yeah, what's up?
Throw Some D's. They
That's a
had
great-
Ludacris
that-
on there. They
that
had
Dre verse.
Andre 3000.
Yeah.
Andre 3000 is. I mean, I
'Cause that's what-
quoted him in the beginning. When I don't know if y'all caught that.
Wait, what'd you say?
When I did my intro, was cooler than being cool.
Oh, Ice Cold.
Did yeah?
Ice
bet.
Cold.
Okay,
But, But yeah, man, like that was probably one of my favorites. That and what's the old dude that They Know. They Know.
Oh my God! Rest in peace,
yeah,
rest
Shawty
in
Low.
peace, bro.
Shawty
Rest in
Low.
peace.
Yeah.
Praise be Shawty Low.
They know.
That remix, hey, this nigga Wayne said, I'm thinking like I got two brains.
Yeah, he went off.
Bro, slap.
Old player, new game. I'm focused.
Two brains. I was like, wait a minute.
Way
hold on.
spaz on that.
Not one, but two.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
wow.
He said white person, blue veins.
He was
Like
wild.
that.
He was wild.
Gosh, bro.
I don't know what you do, but I do things.
Bro,
I really
Every
want
time you see me, got a new chain.
exactly, bro. Like,
And
like
bro,
it's so
every
much
time
fire.
Wayne got on a remix, it was going somewhere. Like, no question. Like,
He called us poop stains, dog.
goodness gracious.
Come on, y'all. Like, Dave.
Gosh.
Shout out to Weezy,
That was
man.
good.
Focus.
That was
He
good.
got- I got two brains.
He looks like an alien now, though.
He does. Yeah.
He phone home.
Yeah.
Man.
Real quick,
That's the second mention of phone home. I
Actually,
mentioned that last video.
Now that y'all mentioned Lollipop, the one with Kanye was actually better than because
It
when
was.
he said safe sex is great sex.
Sex-
Better
yeah,
wear
yeah,
latex.
I was gonna say,
You know what that
have
latex
latex,
is?
and
I
I
got
think
that.
I'm late, and I
Yeah.
got that text, nigga. And
Oh.
I felt that. I felt that, bro. Like Wayne said it to the money, fam. Like, oh God.
You say you lived that line.
No cap.
You
cap.
Oh my god.
No cap.
I still,
it's
the
crazy.
original has a soft place in my heart, but Wayne did his thing on the original.
R&B static. R&B static.
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
it.
Yes, thank
No
you.
cap.
I remember that conversation. Josh called me. You were on the phone, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh called me. He's like, "Hey, bro, what's up?" I'm at my parents' house, like just chilling. But nah, man, just chilling. What's going on? Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm gonna be a dad. It's like, what?
I remember that combo, dog.
It's like me. I'm gonna be a father. Okay, well, congratulations.
Yep.
Well, congratulations.
Was that 4 years ago now?
Because I remember when you hit me, I was just like, huh? I was like, wait. I was like, all right, connect the dots, do all that for me, pretty much. Though it was a great combo. Though.
4
I'll say that.
years,
Absolutely
bro.
great
Yeah.
conversation.
Like, just think about that. 4 years. So
Yeah.
much has happened in 4
That's
years,
what I was
bro.
gonna say.
It's about to be the end of the MF decade,
Decade.
bro.
Yeah.
We graduated in 2010.
Yep, almost.
I was gonna say, I was like, since you kind of brought that up, do y'all want to start with this? I know I brought this up to y'all like a little bit, so like,
Yeah, we're skip over the rappers. I hadn't actually gotten to who was beefing, but
okay. I was like, no, we can go back to it, but then I was like, we circled. I was just like, all right, no, let's talk about the rappers.
Let's get back. Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Yeah, I was about to say, because we can mix it all together, because we just going to talk about our highlights of like 2010 personally.
Okay, bet.
Like, you know, me.
For sure.
We gotta talk about this thing as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got a lot. I'll go ahead and finish this real quick, just to get out of the way. So Eminem, my bad, bro. I'm hecka married.
Let them know.
Hecka married. So Eminem and the freak is wrong with you? Eminem and what's his nigga?
Nick Cannon.
Nick Cannon started their beat back up because the song that we were mentioning with Fat Joe, Eminem was on there. He threw some shots at Nick.
Yep.
Like half the verse was dedicated to throwing shots at Nick,
And Mariah,
which was pointless. I don't see why he would do that.
No, but I get why he did it though. I would say that.
Why?
Nick talked about it on T.I.'s podcast, which is actually pretty good. Check out Expeditiously. It's a good
I
listen.
did watch that episode. Yeah.
And so Nick Cannon was on an episode of it, and they were talking about it. Like, I don't know how they got there, but they were talking about it, and basically came up, and he was like, "Nah, like I was like around that time. He was like, I was looking for M because I was like, you're not about to talk about my wife, like period. So like that's basically how it came up, and then clearly M in usual M fashion responded like 3 months later after the episode was recorded.
That's
in
a good
random
point.
Verse,
that was a long time later.
But like that's how he addresses stuff. So I'm just kind of like, all right, but like,
he did Fat Joe a huge favor because if he hadn't mentioned Nick in there, that song, no one would be paying attention to that
At
song.
all.
I don't agree with that. I think there are a lot of M fans out there that still would have been like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and check out the song anyway. Like I don't think they checked it out initially.
It wouldn't be in the new spots that it's in now.
No, it wouldn't be as much as it is now.
And that's all I'm saying.
For sure. Okay, I got you.
That's
there.
all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It like, cause Joe don't move records, but whatever.
There is no Fat Joe slander on this podcast.
I mean, he's got a point.
Respect,
Not
respect to him.
No, exactly. Not 2019. I talk a lot of crap.
I get it. He's not putting up units like he used to though, but like I get okay, bro. Dang. I was like, I got a lot of respect for Fat
Nah,
Joe,
it's just
man.
because,
Straight
bro,
up.
he was on Rhythm and Flow, like him and Jada Kiss. And don't get me wrong, like legends. I'm not taking that away from him, but I just kind of thought it was gonna be something, kind of people, that kind of maintained a little bit because I mean they had their moments, so it's like, of course you can't take that away from them, but I just kind of feel like maybe it was the budget for the show, people they could get. They got good producers when the people produced, like when they hung out with them, but it's just the people that they had with them was kind of like what's his face? Chance went with Lupe Fiasco.
Yeah.
That's a good point. You got
Same
people
city.
who weren't doing that.
Yeah.
But
I'm
same
like-
city though.
But T.I. went with Nipsey.
Well, I'm saying, who would you have gotten from Chicago? That's what I'm saying. Well,
Yeah.
that's because T.I. was, but Ye ain't gonna do the show.
Well, so would you been?
No, I'm
No,
saying,
no. This wasn't
No,
pre.
it wasn't. It wasn't. But I'm saying he wouldn't have done the show.
No, I'm
So-
saying when it's like before he did his Sunday.
No, I agree. I'm saying it was around that time I think he started it, but
But
I'm
I
saying
still don't. I still think he wouldn't have done the show
He
regardless.
wouldn't have done the show.
The best they could have done would have been like Common or something.
Yeah, like for real. Like that's basically the route you would have gone, but it still would have been in that same realm that you're talking about. Though.
Yeah.
So
Or Chief Keef. Anyway,
I mean,
Shout
hey, if
out
T.I.
to
went
Chief
to Atlanta,
Keef.
he should have got a little baby.
shout out to So man.
So
okay. Anyway, Nick Cannon's part of this. he decided to call up Suge. I was like, hey yo,
Which is crazy.
I'm not talking about the baby. I'm talking about actual Suge Knight. And was like, hey, I need you to do some voiceover for a diss track that's written by these other guys who are battle rappers who write on my raps.
Sheesh. His raps aren't that good. So
No, but that's what I was gonna say. I think Nick actually wrote that.
You might
I
be
don't
right.
think Hitman and all them guys wrote that, bro.
Because I'm not gonna lie, because Hitman's verse is better
Clips
than
wrote
his.
that?
Clips verse is better than his.
Yeah, like those were actually better verses.
So maybe I'll give credit where credit is due. You wrote a terrible verse, Nick.
I'm about to say Nick can't rap.
No, but okay, we'll come back to going.
Gigolo, Jigga-No, nigga.
Gigolo was a hit though.
Yeah, that was.
It was a hit.
That was on the charts.
That was a hit. That was.
Thank you, R. Kelly, because everything you touched in 2000s was magic. Anyway,
Literally. I was like, I'm not gonna touch that at all.
Okay.
Thank you, R. Kelly.
I was like, as soon as you said it, I said,
every song,
Hey, man,
every
look,
song, including Space Jam.
If we can be honest, to say the least, R. Kelly had the hits.
He did.
Oh,
but
no,
everyone
he was the Pied Piper.
He's a super talented person,
he
but
was
he's
the Pied
also
Piper.
It's hard not to say he's not the king of R&B.
But he's also a disgusting person.
I mean, he
so
is.
It's like,
He's the Pied Piper. At the end of the day,
don't quote that either. Don't ever quote that, man.
He is the Pied Mother Piper. But R. Kelly, I just want you to know, it's not all you.
It is literally all him.
Wait, you gotta explain that. You gotta explain what you saying.
I get what you're trying to say. I get what you're trying to say, but it is literally all him.
That's all him.
But I'm saying back in the day, R. Kelly wasn't able, bro. Like, if you watch that thing, he was able.
No, he wasn't able. But
Yeah.
ultimately,
I
it
get
was
you.
his choice.
There were other sick people clearly out there, but like he
his
decided to do
choice.
this.
Correct, he did. But I'm saying the nigga was still enabled. I mean, bro, come on now.
My G.
Bro, fuck
My
it.
G.
Come on,
At
bro.
some point, you gotta be responsible for your actions.
I
Period.
get that, bro. But I'm saying, nigga, it's kind of like this. If you rob a bank and they leave the door unlocked, are you gonna go back to that bank? Yes, nigga.
First off, no. I'm gonna tell you no.
Crazy.
You just hit a lick once.
Bro.
You hit a lick once.
Bro,
That's what I'm
okay,
saying.
how about this? If you go twice,
And it's a false equivalent. Like, bro, what are we doing?
Yes, it's got the equivalent to R. Kelly, bro.
Fucking Sparkle.
He was a
There was no lick to be hit off of this R. Kelly thing.
Bro, no cap. Fucking Sparkle. She saw the bitch saw him lock his wife in the room. Still bring her niece around.
No.
You
Sparkle's
kidding me, bro?
completely. She's complicit. I got you.
Sure.
What I'm saying is that R. Kelly's.
Either, but I'm like, bro, 3 kids.
But we're not about to defend R. Kelly's actions.
I'm not defending the
That's
nigga, but
not
I'm saying he was enabled.
No,
He
I got you.
enabled.
But didn't you hear me on? You got to be responsible for your actions
I
at a
didn't say
point.
he wasn't.
You can't be a 40-year-old man doing the stuff he was doing, bro.
I didn't say he wasn't, but I'm saying he was definitely still enabled, my nigga. Like, point blank.
Being enabled is one part of it. I
It
got
was,
you.
bro, it was
but
one part of
it
it.
continuously going with it and
I
just
get
doing that because you're
But,
abusing
bro,
people you can take advantage
because
of.
he's the king.
No.
I mean, of course people gonna do it. I get like people want to get record deals. Like I get it, but I'm saying, nigga, he was enabled. Bro. At the end of the day, like I told, like when we had this conversation when it first happened, I'm like, bro, Makai is my responsibility.
Right.
So if I give him up to somebody else because he's sing and they got cloud on, just like Michael Jackson,
Bro,
like,
I got you. That's on you. I get that. That's on your part.
So that's a 50-50.
But we can still go with the actual abuser here. We can still go with the abuser here. They're still the initiating party. That's what I'm saying.
Bro, I get that. But I'm saying, okay, like for example, that Leaving Neverland documentary. When they was like, when the family was like, oh, we went on vacation for a week and Michael's like, just leave the boy here. We and him can have fun. So you telling me, you were
Right.
if you a grown ass man, so you leave your kid here.
Right.
Hey,
to
happening.
go on vacation.
Got you.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
None of us are arguing with you on that. But
So that's
the
what I'm
same
saying.
thing goes with Mike in that situation. If he enacted all that stuff and did all that stuff in that's still on him.
And bro, but that's what's true. I'm not saying that Mike is not responsible. I'm not saying Robert is not responsible. That's what I'm saying.
Government name, man.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, bro. When I say it's not all you, like I'm saying, at the end of the day, it's like, bro, the parents had a part to play just like Robert did. The parents had a part to play just like Michael did. I'm not saying by no means like it wasn't that fall down. Like no, because in the day I don't give a fuck who you. Bro, you could be Tom Brady, Drake, Michael. I don't give a fuck who you
Tom
are.
Brady first, like this. Of course, Tom Brady.
He kissing kids and stuff. Like bro, you can be whoever you want to be. But I'm like, bro, I may, oh my gosh, I love you, da, da, da. But I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna jeopardize my son for whoever they are.
We get you, but
point blank. So that's what I'm
he's
saying.
still a predator, yeah. We get
and that's what I'm saying. I'm not taking that away from him. That's what I'm saying.
You're saying like, hey, you're responsible for this. You should take care of this.
Correct.
You're responsible for this. You should take care of this.
That's why I said it's fit. Because I'm like, bro, at the end of the day, you cannot take away from the parents them pretty much handing their kid off to him because he was a superstar or whatever. You can't take that away from him.
Yeah, but what do you say about the situations when I heard about him pulling up to like a McDonald's by a high school and then just basically trying to hit on?
I mean, that's him. I mean, that's
my point.
But that's him.
But that's a different situation.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I got you, but
I'm talking about. I'm saying in the case of the parent, like I said, Sparkle. Like she was mad about the stuff with her family. I'm like, bro, you saw him lock his wife. Correct. Like you saw him lock his wife in a room. And she came out there looking like she was starving and all that stuff. So what would tell you? Let me bring my niece around him, knowing that what he does.
I got you.
Because at the end of the day, he can't get access to those people without a key. It's like a door. It's like a locked door.
What do all of these things, everything we just talked about right now, what do all these things have in common? R. Kelly being a predator.
I know that. I
no matter what happened.
But I'm saying, bro, it's like a door. Can you get in my house and unlock the door? Exactly. You essentially have to do a little bit of force. You have to get it. Yeah, it's gonna take a couple times. So that's
which would still be on the aggressor.
Well,
which is R. Kelly in this situation.
But I'm saying, but how easy? But what would be easier if I unlock my door and let you in, or do you have to actually?
For sure.
Get it?
Yeah.
Correct.
Of course.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not like he just had ready access to them. It's like some of these people were pretty much handed to the nigga.
No, I agree on that though. Like,
so that's what I'm
saying.
There's
a lot of desperate people who were trying to get on, and they were just willing to take whatever risk was involved.
Correct, and that's all I'm saying. I'm like, I'm not saying he's not. I know that
Kelly knew that, and he took advantage of that.
But bro,
and that's sick.
He did.
That's all I'm trying to get across.
But I'm only saying at the end of the day, bro. If you know how they say people only treat you how you let them, or like people only get away with stuff as much as you let them. It's like, bro, if someone keeps getting away with that, it's kind of like someone who sits on their mom's couch or someone who.
But bro, there are also other people who operate from a higher moral ground and are like, no, I'm not going to take advantage of the situation, or no, I'm not going to do that.
There are some people that
completely do it.
But again, there are some people that do that. There are also some people that don't do that.
I know. And they still have to be held accountable for that.
And I agree with that. But at the end of the day, that does not mean that, the person who, doesn't have a job
is only held accountable. I got you.
Correct.
I get you.
So that's what I'm saying.
But the main aggressor should still be held accountable.
Well, and I'm not saying he's not. But I'm just saying, at the end of the day, it's, to me, it's easy 50-50. I mean, it's a little bit more on R. Kelly. Don't get me wrong. Of course, it's like 70-30. But I'm just saying, like it's like 60.
If you go put percentages on it, in that situation,
correct?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
It's still Robert. Yeah. I'm just saying, it's not all him.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So there's somebody who recently passed away that we just want to.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. We just want to acknowledge that he did pass away. Anyway, Juice WRLD sadly passed away at the age of 21.
Yeah.
Jeez. And that's it. I don't know. Just like condolences to his family, anyone who's close to him. Not the record labels, because they're still gonna make their money. Forget them. Screw them. I ain't worried about them. But shout out to his people, his fam. Just pray for y'all. So
let's actually talk about this.
Yeah, so that's what we'll get into now.
Need a deep dive.
So that's fine. Let's go ahead and get into this. Go ahead, Joe.
All right. So Juice WRLD is a rapper. He has songs.
Lucid
Dreams,
All Girls All the Same, Wasted,
Yeah.
Empty, one you brought up before, Robbery. I could go on. There are a few favorites of mine by him, Make Believe, different ones pretty much he's had.
Lucid Dreams being the biggest song by him.
If we're gonna be honest, that might be the only song that I do know from Juice WRLD. I do like the song. It's a pretty catchy song. He's a 21-year-old. He was a 21-year-old kid. Just turned 21 last Monday, I think.
Yeah.
Jeez. Passed away a few days ago.
Yeah.
He got off a plane and had a seizure in the airport. That was the first report about it. First report. That's what happened, right? Came out. Juice WRLD has passed away. He had a seizure in the airport, and that's it. That's all we knew. And that was sad. I was like, man, I don't really know the kid, but that's sad. He's not on list to him like that, but that's sad.
How'd y'all find out?
I saw it on Twitter.
Same, right? But I just want to give a really quick breakdown of like how I ended up just getting on. So I was like working out in the gym pretty much. I hadn't been on Twitter all day or whatever. Pretty much, I'm doing my usual stuff, and I was just like, oh dang, like I'm like have headphones and all that kind of stuff or whatever, right? I'm jamming and all that stuff. Another artist that recently dropped an album this past week that I really liked, Roddy Ricch.
I have not given that a listen, but I want to
recommend it. It's a really good sounding album. It's mixed and sequenced really well. I'm glad he brought that up in his Breakfast Club interview because I really appreciate it.
And that is how I found out. He did an Instagram post.
Oh, that's how you found out?
That is how I found out. Roddy did an Instagram post about him, and I was like, is this real? Is this fake? You know, at that point I was trying to figure it out. But that's how I found out.
Yeah. And so my worry, especially with Roddy, as I've been getting more into his music. So my first introduction to Roddy was the song Die Young, which ironically was also the song that I was listening to right before I found out the news of Juice. I was jamming pretty much to it, and I was just like, dang, like I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Let me check and just see on Twitter, right? Get on there, and then immediately just see on there rapper Juice WRLD dead at 21, and I just dropped my phone. I give this also really quick, pretty much on it. I've been worried about Juice for a long time. I listened to his album Death Race to Love, Death Race to Love. Yeah. The one that dropped earlier this year. I think that was back in March, right? So one of my boys, he had told me to go and check out Juice a while back, pretty much when he had the Goodbye Good Riddance joint. I knew him for Lucid Dreams. Yeah. Still, honestly, is my least favorite Juice WRLD song. Really? Yeah, I like his other stuff a lot more. And so he reminded me of a mix between Lil Uzi Vert and Post Malone. And so I was like, okay, cool, like that's fine. I know the kids will love it, all that kind of stuff. I'm good on it. He's like, nah, bro, like go check out the project. I think you'll actually like it. Went and checked it out. I was like, okay, this kid's talented. Was like looking forward to more music or whatever, thinking like, all right, he'll drop probably sometime down the line. As we now know about Juice, like this dude works really fast. So he dropped an album again within the next few months, pretty much, and then put out the single Robbery. I just started liking all the singles pretty much. And I was like, all right, bet I'm gonna go and check out this album. It's a 77-minute album. Yeah. Okay. I really am not a person who's out here like trying to listen to like a 77-minute album in 2019 like that. So, but I was like, I really want to listen to this album. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ride my bike, put my headphones on, and just ride around. Bro, I can't even tell. I jammed that album maybe like 3 times back to back, just enjoying.
And this was before he passed away?
Yeah, no, this is back in March when he first dropped Death Race to Love. Okay. And so I was like, dang, he made a really good album for what I thought was just gonna be a whole bunch of filler and all that kind of stuff. This is a really catchy album.
Content.
Yeah, the content was there for somebody who's only like 19, 20 when he was putting that album together, basically. I was like, man, like one, this kid's smart, but 2, I also realized like this guy is highly anxious and he's also a hopeless romantic. And he talks about drug use a lot. And so for him to be that young and doing that, I was like, bro, I really hope he doesn't get lost in this stuff.
That's like going back to my favorite song by him, Empty, like that's like the sequential like, hey, this is pointless. Yep. I'm gonna go eat a bunch of pills. I'm taking a bunch of pills. Yep. I need some condolence. I'm gonna go. Yep. Trying to numb the styrofoam. Yeah, like that's the quintessential song. Like after I listened to the album, that's the only song that I kept on repeat because I was like, that if he really feel like this, like that's crazy.
No, and that was the intro to the album. Yeah. The outro to the album was the song I brought up just a second ago, Make Believe. The last words you hear on that album are. Love isn't real as you can see. Life's make believe, pretty much on stuff. And so it's like to hear a 21-year-old kind of say certain stuff like that. It's one thing I feel like is super dangerous in life though is like not when you get to the point of like, oh, I want to die or like, oh, I want to live though. But it's when you're right there in the middle of like, I don't care what happens. Yeah. And that's where it felt like he was kind of at. At that point, it's like whatever happens, right? Yeah. And then I find out the news on this stuff. And I'm just like, come on, man. Like to keep it a whole round with y'all, I thought Juice was going to be the biggest artist of the next decade.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I thought, like, in a sense, what Drake was able to accomplish in this decade, I thought Juice would be able to replicate in his own little way. I didn't think he was going to have as long of a run with it because I felt like he'd probably just get bored with the music stuff and find something else. but I was holding out hope that he would at least still kind of go because the talent was showing, and he hadn't even scratched the surface of that stuff. So we could clearly see it.
True, we were on like one variation of him. It wasn't like he had opportunity to grow because Drake, the original Drake artist, opposed to what we have now, was going through like 5-6 different variations.
Right? Yeah. Straight up.
So just thinking about him and this dude 21.
Yeah.
Like by the time he was 25, because he actually had talent like that Uzi talent, but he also had the marketability and the hookiness of Post. So man, like you might be right. He could have been that.
Yeah.
We won't know obviously, but you know.
I read this online. I don't know how true it is, but someone could have just made it up. But they were like, he first decided to get into drugs because of Future.
Yep. No, they didn't make that up at all.
That's true.
Future actually brought that up during an interview that he did when he was putting out The Wizard earlier this year, and he was talking about basically how he realized his impact was on the kids, and he brought up that Juice story as one of it because when they made the album, Juice walked up to him and was like, "Dog, like for real, like you're one of the main reasons why I even started doing lean." And he said at first, like if he said if this has been like years ago, like from Future's perspective, he said if this had been years ago, he would just been like, all right, cool, whatever, that kind of thing. But like over time, now it's kind of been a thing of like accepting that responsibility and just being like, dang, and he apologized to him like, I'm sorry, man, like
because didn't he get off of lean?
Yeah, that's why he was talking about
drugs like that.
Yeah, he like. I don't even think Future's ever been one to really abuse drugs like that either, but like he was definitely kicking it when he was promoting this album earlier this year. And he was saying like, I'm done with all this stuff. Like I don't even, so he kind of realized, and also that's one person we haven't heard a word from since Juice died.
True. And he probably feels,
yeah.
I don't want to speak for him, but I could see him feeling pretty bad.
For sure.
For his involvement. Like it just influenced him at all.
Perfect example. Did you watch Rick and Morty this week?
I didn't. I wanted to bring it up. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
There was spoilers, I guess. If you don't watch Rick and Morty, you should have already seen it by now.
Yeah.
But anyway, and this is going to sound crazy for those who don't watch it.
Yeah, that's wild.
But Rick, he was with the dragon, and he was in the dragon's lair, and he was like, check this out. Was it a vinyl?
Yeah, it was a
vinyl of Future's self-titled album.
Yep.
And it was signed.
Yep.
And he was like, look at it. I was like, oh, dope, it's signed.
Right. Look at it closer.
He's like, look at it closer. It was like, oh my gosh, it's signed in Molly and Percocet. Like it was actually signed in Molly and Percocet.
Rick tasted it to make sure.
Yeah,
is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And later in the episode, you see them like drinking and getting high. Yeah. And, like, they're obviously on drugs.
Yep.
And Molly and Percocet
and what's the
is
song
playing in the background.
Yeah. Mask Off is playing completely.
The Mask Off is playing in the background. Yeah. So. I don't know. I could see it being sad that your legacy is boiled down to that. I wouldn't want that. I don't know how Future feels about his legacy. He may not care. He may feel like his legacy is something.
As he gets older,
he has a young one growing up.
So I played this song for you though. So he has a song that recently started playing with that he put out recently with him and Lil Durk called Last Name, and it's a lot of him. It has nothing to do with his like drug abuse or anything, but it's a lot of reflective stuff. And him looking back on like him kind of in a sense, he even says himself to start off the song, him being ashamed of like all the stuff that's played out, whether it was by his end or not, because he felt like this stuff could have been very avoidable.
I think his next album will probably be in that vein because he also did produce another song out with Bryson.
Okay, bet.
Who Bryson was my favorite artist, but then he's like, my self-esteem and all this other crap. And he just
but let Bryson live, bro.
That is my homie. I would do a song with Bryson right now. But
he said my self-esteem.
Anyway, he did a song with Bryson. It was more like emotional. Like I could feel there being more there than just drug use or street talk. You know, like I could feel there was more there. So his next album will probably be more reflective.
I really do hope so. Like Future, he's very talented, but a lot of his stuff is very drug.
That's sad.
Yeah, it's very drug.
It's sad for someone who doesn't even abuse drugs like that to make songs about abusing drugs, which causes kids to abuse drugs.
Yeah, because he was just like, all right, bet like this stuff, like you know what I'm saying, like I mean, like a lot. He was in a documentary a few years back, and that's where I was like, oh, okay, bet I see what bro's game with this whole thing is. You just like what? You just saying a little bit. It's like fake it till you make it. Like you know what I'm saying? Like so there was a game to the whole thing.
That was the culture. It's not that was just the culture.
That's what I'm saying. Is that he took it, made his own sound to it, probably done a little bit. Like, bro has an entire 2 tapes called Dirty Sprite. You know what I'm saying? So like, it was kind of a thing where it's like that's a Southern thing in general.
Yeah.
So it's like still taken away from all of that, but at the same time, you just end up kind of seeing like with different people over time. Mac, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fredo Santana, who like I really appreciate, for what he was and what he did pretty much and stuff. Lil Peep. There are certain people that like you end up kind of hearing about where it's like, dang, like that kind of stuff ends up happening though, and it's weird. I'm still processing Juice's passing in that kind of way though, for him being so young and not even have scratched his potential and everything. But part of me also ended up also being like really, and we were kind of, I think we've talked about this a little bit, but really thankful for the people that are still around.
Yeah.
That probably should have succumbed to this kind of stuff or succumbed to something. Wayne, Gucci,
Ross.
You know what I'm saying? Waka. It holds a special place in my heart.
But the thing about it is, like, literally, like, we could have. I remember a period of time. There was one moment. I would think we're in Austin for some reason, and like people were like, Lil Wayne, like, almost died.
Yeah, it was when he had that big seizure on the plane.
The same story.
It's the same exact thing. And he was in the air.
Yeah, I think it has. For me, I think it has something to do with the altitude or something.
For sure.
He was having seizures on planes. Ross was having seizures on planes. Like, it was just a weird. I don't know what's going on, but we could have lost both of those dudes easily.
Yep,
for sure.
That's it. Keith, I'll bring him up too. Chief Keef.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are certain people where I'm like, I'm really happy that they're still here because I really feel like their testimony and their story is gonna be really great for the next generation coming up.
Yeah.
And knowing like being like, bruh,
don't
it ain't even worth it. Like, cause they even found their own like Ross has found a healthy way to do it. Yeah. Wayne still dabbles in it a little bit, but it isn't as heavy as it used to be in a lot of ways. Like,
that's why I give it up to Schoolboy Q. Like,
Q was a great other example. He might have succumbed to that too.
He could have very well had lost it.
Yeah,
but you know, for him, like, he just quit. Like, he's done with that stuff.
I just think maybe it just comes with age and learning, and like you said, the experience that you go through. Because, I mean, dang, losing Wayne, that would be crushing.
Horrible.
Some people, because I think there's two types of people. Like, some people learn from experience, and some people actually learn from advice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some people have to actually go through it, which is dangerous.
That's true.
Dangerous in itself.
Mom always told me you don't gotta learn. You don't gotta learn on your own. You can learn from other people.
Like, straight up.
And it's crazy because like with the Juice WRLD, I mean, I only had the Goodbye and Good Riddance. I mean, I didn't even know he had an album this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure it slapped. But yeah, like I definitely, you know, he was young and R.I.P. You know, my dog. But it's just crazy because, you know, Future, the impact, not knowing what he has, and especially for him not doing that, it's like, what would bring him to rap about stuff that he doesn't really do? It's
because it's marketable, bro. He had talent. He had talent, but honestly, if he had been rapping about the same stuff, he from the South, same stuff as T.I., no one's gonna care because we already got T.I.
And to be fair too, maybe Future really was abusing this stuff because I remember a song on the album they both did together, right? Realer and Realer, where like literally Future says on the song, having a thrill off these pills I could OD any day. And that hit me. That hit me a lot because y'all know how big of a Future fan I am.
Yeah.
So like when I heard that, I was just like, bro, he's got to chill. Like, I hope he's not doing that. But then even putting that message out there, like there are like for every Juice WRLD that actually is famous and we're talking about rest in peace, there are so many other people that are basically falling victim to this kind of stuff and ODing on this stuff. People not being able to get the Narcan in time, even to be able to try and succumb to this stuff. Like so it's like,
I just think because Future, I mean, he has a next Future coming up, so I would definitely advise him. You know, if you have someone, exactly. Like if you have someone already telling you they're in their 20s, it's like you don't want your, you know, I'm sure he wouldn't want to see that coming from his kid, but
for sure.
At the same time, it's crazy because
Russell's raising him too well for that.
Sheesh.
That's a whole different issue.
Wow. By the way, I had a dream about that. Just being like,
about Russ?
No, about all of them. Like it was. Funny enough, it was right before Juice's passing, pretty much. I think it was like literally Friday or Saturday night. But I had a dream that like Russ, Future, Sierra were all on great terms. Future found like somebody to actually like be with and he was in love with, and like they were actually like co-parenting. Like Right. It was like it felt like it was like some kind of segment in the news where they were like united for something having to do with Future, like the Lil Future, and something like that. And they were like, you see like Future and Russ dapping up and stuff like that, like, oh, what's happening, bro? Like that kind of thing, like good to see you type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like I was I was like, dang, like I really hope it gets to that point where they can actually like co-parent and be able to work that well, like that kind of thing.
It takes work. I won't say that it does take work, but I think they can do it. My second question is, what do you eat before you go to bed? You had a dream that...
I don't know. I just ate.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But hey, on the cool though, hey, March Madness, Future, that's shit.
March Madness does go hard.
That's shit.
There's a lot of interesting things surrounding this dude's death, right?
Yeah.
So one, the Future thing, which I thought was crazy. Two, there were some lyrics in a song that he had saying that he wasn't going to make it. I mean, we're not making it past 21, which I want to go into because I feel like that's kind of a common theme within rappers. Like, they discuss things, they talk about things. It's almost like self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Biggie, Ready to Die. What happened after that? Died, right? Mac Miller talks about ODing. He talked about ODing a lot. Like
even Pac with the Machiavelli thing.
Pac with Machiavelli. Nipsey talked about the same thing, right? Getting capped. Like all that. I feel like a lot of these rappers, like before they die, they end up discussing or predicting the things that are going to happen.
Paranoia. That's what largely anxiety and paranoia is what largely like goes into that, and a lot of that stuff can factor into so many different things. It can clearly factor into the fact that they're famous now, and now this target is basically on them. Also, a very common thing that outside I think of Mac, really, I don't know if you brought it up just now, but all of these are black men who are also very popular, and that's also a thing pretty much. And then clearly the environment that comes with being in hip hop too, and some of the environments that they also have come from. That paranoia is going to kind of raid in on it. Like I brought up Roddy Ricch. I had that, and I still kind of do. And I was having this conversation with a friend too about how I'm worried about him as well, because he talks about drug use on his songs as well. But even more so, like if you go and listen to the song "Die Young," that's full on paranoia.
They talk about how they're gonna die, and a lot of the time it's like how they die. I'm like, dude. I don't know if I think for me it's more of I consider it more of like a spiritual thing, right? You're putting those things out into the atmosphere. You're putting those things out. You're using your mouth to basically declare your own demise.
Tongue has life and death.
Exactly. Like what you say, it has so much power. Yep. And I would rather those dudes use their power, right, to speak positively, at least a bit, especially if anything about themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, speak life about yourself, bro, because you say all this stuff. I'm gonna die at this age. I'm gonna die. I'm like, it's.
But some of it also could be survivor's remorse. Like they made it through, and a lot of the
homeboys didn't,
right? And they're kind of like, dang, I'm in this position now. All right, now I have to like adjust to all of this stuff. Pretty much, do I fully deserve all of this stuff with all the dirt that I've done? Do I fully deserve all this stuff for everything that like we've all gone through? Why was I the one who was chosen to basically do this kind of stuff? It's for sure. It's what like a lot of people, even if you're not like spiritual or of any faith or anything at all, would call just speaking something into existence.
Yeah.
So
that's there's a lot of energy in that.
Another thing I did read, I mean, people use other artists as like a mention all the time in rap. So you may drop like somebody's name. He dropped John Lennon's name in a couple different songs, talking about how he felt like him or he was jealous of John Lennon, you know. And it just happens that John Lennon died on the same day, December 8th, 1980. That's what they said.
Yeah, 1980.
1980. Yeah. So, I mean, that's like that for the most part. That's probably coincidence.
It's no coincidence, bro.
Bro, like, I don't. I like some stuff. I don't because I can't explain that. I don't know how actual coincidence that was.
That's insane.
But because like I said, rappers drop people's names all the time, so it could not really be that related. But it was just a very interesting thing I found.
That's actually crazy because now that you said you know, like people that kind of speak it, it's like when you really think about like a lot of the big rappers, they really don't talk about that. Like even Future, like even though he may talk about like death and all that, like I mean, like,
he's not talking about
stuff.
himself.
No, he talks about it too. By the way, he literally has a song called Afterlife.
Well, no, I'm saying I know that, but I'm saying even with him, but him most of his, even like you said, most of his stuff is really driven into, you know, Percocet, Molly, and all that stuff like so. And it's just like when you think of like a lot of the big name rappers, that's not really much that was in their message of what they talked about, like the bulk of it. Yeah. So that, I mean, that's actually pretty crazy, like how they do talk about it and things like that. Because I mean, you know, back in the day, which I don't know if the talk still swirl about, but you know, the whole Illuminati thing.
Yeah.
Oh, they had a whole deal and all that. Like, I don't really hear much about that now. It's just stuff like hearing things like Juice WRLD swallowed a bunch of, you know, stuff.
Yeah, I want to get into that.
Yeah,
but
like,
real quick, before there's one more weird thing. There was some type of challenge. I don't know if y'all heard of TikTok.
Yeah.
There's some type of challenge.
Going with this. I just heard about this too.
What was that about?
The seizure thing? Is that what you're talking about? I just literally heard about it because you know, Big Boy's Neighborhood and everything. They were talking about on there, and he was talking about it about how him and his daughter saw like some videos on IG or something like that about it, or I guess TikTok about it pretty much. I don't really know, but apparently they were using Juice WRLD's song.
They were using Juice WRLD's song months ago.
Yeah,
so like they would play Lucid Dreams, and then like in the middle of the song they would fake like they're having a seizure, and then he dies. He dies from having a seizure.
Who thinks of these things? I don't understand.
I'm like, does that like? See, that's my thing. Like, I'm really I'm a Christian person. Like, I like to look at things in a spiritual way. Yeah. Right. I like to see. I believe that we are living in a spiritual world, just in our physical bodies. Right. There's a lot of stuff that's going on.
That's outside of our view.
That we can't see.
But
right?
it is affecting things.
But I'm like, so how much of an effect does that have? If all these different people across the country, across the world, are listening to this song, pretending to have seizures, like. I'm not gonna say that had anything to do with what happened, but I'm not gonna say it's not.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't say
it's a very strange. It's a very strange coincidence.
Can't go without saying. Yeah.
It's just very weird. And I saw that and I was like, "There's no way because it was the same day he died." I was like, "There's no way they just started doing this today. There's no way." And so I look back on it and they were like, "Yeah, this is months ago. It was like a trend that they were doing. Listening to his song, faking seizures."
Yeah, I heard it was a trend for sure. I think they were doing it with other songs too, but like his song was like one of those main songs that they were using for it, and that was kind of sad. Like, just be careful, man. Like that's it. Like, dog. People have to find, like, these are vices that people use for coping. Yeah, that's largely what this stuff is. Some people start off doing it for fun and then they get hooked, and then it becomes that kind of issue, pretty much, of them trying to kick it. Yeah. But for some people, like for a lot of the people basically who end up abusing this stuff, like how it starts off is that they're in themselves trying to like find ways to cope with life around them, decisions they've made, things that have happened pretty much in a lot of ways. And I'm just saying there are healthier ways to do it, man. Like for real, like. Talk with people, man. Work out for sure. Like, hit the gym. Do so. No, for real, bro. Like, you got to blow off some steam or something. Yeah, because you end up expending that energy, and then that basically ends up being that kind of release for you in a lot of ways. So it's like, eating healthier, like for sure. That definitely is a big thing, because that definitely can affect your body chemistry and how you do stuff whenever you're putting in a bunch of stuff, pretty much. And so. I'm saying that from like the standpoint of like me also being a person who's also trying to get that stuff together but being conscious of it and being like, all right, these are the things that I need to make sure that I do so that way my future is brighter on that way. Yeah, exactly. Just anybody who's out there, bro, like just know one, which is something I know anybody pretty much is out there, but some people end up kind of getting in there that maybe it isn't. There are people who are out there going through similar things. And also know that there can also be unity and also trying to help each other out. We're all in this together, man. Straight up. Like for real. Like I look at it as like you can find your ways of coping and doing stuff. Knowing yourself is also a major thing, and also going into it. But don't be afraid to share with the closest people around you and have those kind of conversations. Don't be afraid to be honest with yourself and know what you need to do. That's super important. So I say all that to just say, like, man, every life in this world is important. We all bring something to the table. The fact that we've lost so many different people and so many different great souls that could contribute so many great things to the world around us in so many different ways.
That's true.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad. And I'm just sending out love. Just sending out love. Love to y'all.
Yeah,
love
straight
y'all.
up. Me too, bro.
All
Love
right.
you too. We're here.
And I love y'all too. All right. So like,
And
Let's talk about what
whole
happened.
situation.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about what happened, just so we can get. I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. Like I really don't understand it. So hopefully there's more information that does come out.
Yeah.
Supposedly he was flying with 70 pounds of weed from
Already a
California.
red flag.
Yeah, from Cali to Chicago, he had 70 pounds of weed on his private jet. He also had. They also found some guns. They found some
Got a whole bunch of pills.
codeine
Yeah,
syrup
and some
bottles,
yep.
and also a bunch of pills. So the story is that the pilot
Yep.
called the police or called the feds or whatever from the air. So when they landed, there were already cops waiting there for them
Yep.
to search the plane.
ooh.
Now the story goes that Juice WRLD, in order to hide the evidence, decided to take
Adjusted.
the
Yep.
pills.
Yep.
But if he had all that on there, what was
It-
just taking the pills going to do?
He thought.
Oh,
I
it's
think.
charged.
I think he was thinking. One. I think he made a decision at that point. Remember when I was saying where he was at that point where he was just like, whatever happens is whatever happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of a weight into it, but the irony behind that is honestly in my head, I feel like in that moment he probably knew like, dang, this is like I really value life, but I'll come back to it whenever you're done with all this stuff. But I think it really hit him what he could possibly lose.
I mean
right
that's
there.
it. I mean that's the story, right? Like
There's no alternate ending. Like this is just how it ended.
he took the pills and shortly after had the seizure, was bleeding from his mouth.
Yep.
They took him to the hospital. He was still conscious, but he died at the hospital.
Yep.
Is the story.
Yep.
I just literally. I guess that's the part that's mind blowing. Is, I mean, if he had literally all that stuff that you just said he had on that plane, it's like,
What's the point of even?
like what he ingested. Like
Stuff could be.
you're gonna lose your life or you're gonna lose your life. Like it's either one of the two.
I think that was what he was betting on, was that, I pop these every now and then, maybe I can ingest this stuff, get them off the trail pretty much, because, okay, when I first heard that there was 70 pounds of weed
That's what I'm about to say.
on
I'm
the
like,
plane,
you can't ingest all that.
like that's what, well, my immediate, because not outside of clearly like that obvious point of them actually clearly prosecuting them for having that much on there,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is trafficking.
Oh yeah.
Like this is clearly what's happening right here, like right
70
now.
pounds.
Like that's, but
Yeah, you're right next
'cause you
to
ain't-
sale.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
to
you're
sell.
not,
You're not
you're not,
bringing
you're
that.
not putting that on the
Feed
plane
the
because you
whole
think you're gonna
village.
blow all that.
No,
Like,
you
no,
brought that
like,
to sell.
like that's exactly what it was, and they were coming from Cali too. So it's like a thing where it's like
Yeah.
I just started putting like, because the first part that hit me was clearly like ingesting all those perks, because I was just like, dang, like
Boy,
dang, you went out like that was kind of the thing, because like
I thought it was stupid. I was like, bro. I was like, hold on, because I read it and I was like, this can't be true. And I was like, you took the pills to get them off the trail? It doesn't make any sense.
the block got hot, and he was like, all right, this is the only, and I think that's what happened.
Steam.
I think what went through his head right now was, let me take all these pills, make sure to get this stuff basically out. If anything happens to me, then they have to give attention to me. They're not thinking about all that other stuff as much. One, and then two, on top of it is like, I can't make it hot for everything else that's basically happening right now. Like, all right, cool,
bro,
I'll put
like,
that on me.
What
He
did he-
panicked.
I
what did
still-
he think was
He
gonna happen?
he panicked.
I
He panicked.
still go with Joe. The stupid here is why.
No, it is.
Like
It is.
being 21.
For sure. That's,
You know you're not gonna make the best decisions.
Yeah.
thank you.
Like that
He
happens.
was definitely
Like
21.
like you can he was a smart kid. He was a very, very intelligent kid, but he was still a kid.
That was when you were 21. See, that's my thing.
Exactly.
I'm
you already
like,
know you were
I'm like,
21.
look, man. Like,
It's not.
I already know
I-
where
but
y'all
I
are
knew
going.
that,
I already know where y'all are
You
going,
weren't
man.
smart.
but no.
Straight up.
Here's my thing, right? I'm not someone who speaks ill on the dead. Like, I don't do that, right? But at the same time, the decision he made when he was alive was a dumb decision.
For sure.
It was a stupid
No,
decision.
it was. Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen? when you took all them perks.
That was a part of being young.
What did you think was going to happen, nigga?
No, for sure. That's what I'm saying. And I get you because I'm not trying to go way further than that. Like this young man has passed away as a result of it. But at the same time, that's exactly what I thought in my head it was a kid acting like a kid, and that was kind of my thing with Juice that I appreciated about him. But I was like, okay, this could also ultimately kind of be his demise in a lot of ways. Was that sometimes you can be too smart for your own good. And sometimes you could overthink something, and that gets you in trouble. Yeah. And he got to that point where he was just like, all right, I got to make a decision pretty much. It's either the squad goes down for this or something basically happens with me.
They're probably still going to go down.
I think that's still what's going to happen. But being a kid, you're thinking in the moment, bet.
Right.
I'll take the fine.
Y'all take that.
I'll do this. Yeah. Like, y'all deal with that stuff over there. Maybe we'll have a chance at this, though. But if they just pull up pretty much and they see all of this, we're all done.
But like you said, if it was trafficking, maybe he was going to die either way. Because if he would have got all that stuff taken or whatever.
Maybe they would have got revenge on him or something. Yeah, like maybe
it still would
have. I mean,
there's clearly more to the story.
70 pounds
there's clearly more to the story.
Bro, that's why I said, like, this story is far from over.
He was trying to
and there's a lot more. That's what I'm saying. Like, as soon as I heard about the 70, I was like, 70? Yeah, bro. Like, you ain't taking that to just like smoke all that, bro. Like. That's way too much. So like it's
they're distributing it some way.
Like, and another thing that I found out about this too is that apparently the feds have been watching them for like at least a month. Mm-hmm. Like apparently the feds like actually were like keeping details on like them during flights and stuff like that for the last month, and we're getting intel on them. So when they finally did get that call from the pilot, it was like, all right, bet, go time, like we're going in. Yeah,
he was going to California.
He was coming from California because it's legal there. So that's what
I was gonna say. Okay, I thought it was back. Well, he was going where it's legal, but he left where it was legal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nah, you messed
so it was one of those things where I was like, also like, but I think that was just kind of the person he was, is that he was just like, dang, I don't want the homies to go down for this.
Yeah.
Like I really don't, because like that's one of those things traditionally where it's like. And I hate to say it, but it's like you have the, like, shout out to Chris Carter, but you have the fall guy. Where it's like, okay, bet, like, somebody's going to have to take this pretty much at a point. Yeah. It can't be the superstar. Right. Because that's the bread and butter here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so it's like kind of the thing pretty much on that. But I think he, in his heart, was like,
can't do that.
These are my dogs. Like, I really don't want them to do it. And he thought like a child.
Dang, that's loyal. Boy, when I tell you I would have... He did it. He did it. He did it.
What is Takashi the whole thing?
He did it. Ain't no way. Like, I'm like, hey.
Yeah, man, just like you said, he probably was like super loyal to his people. He was like, nah, I'm gonna do right by my people. So, you know, if y'all take this, I'm gonna take this. But it should have been that rule. Like, I'm not condoning any of it. But if you're the star, you don't do that.
I wonder if he knew that. I just wonder if he knew that.
There's even more to it, bro, where it's like you end up hearing about like. Then people start basically saying like around like, oh yeah, he had a Percocet problem and a Percocet addiction and stuff. And then I started kind of putting to like certain things together. I'm like, I hope what I'm thinking isn't really like what they're trying to do.
Yeah, they're trying to turn around and be like, oh, he did it on purpose. And like he tried to take himself out. That's I hate when people go that route.
But not for that reason. It's because operation.
Yeah.
Like he's not here, so
he just should have got a different pilot.
Well, it wasn't the pilot. Like, I can't.
They was gonna find him anyway.
That's what I'm saying. I can't blame the pilot in this whole situation because according to that whole story, like they made it hot on themselves. Mm-hmm. Like they walked on the plane with like pills out, knots out. Like apparently, like I guess the pilot was able to see that they had the weed and everything, at least a little bit of it.
So who was he on the plane with?
He was on the plane with like people in his crew basically. So like. He's signed to like I would assume pretty much like some of the people pretty much, but shout out to Bibby. He signed a little Bibby, so I think that was a part of like pretty much that crew that he was all with.
What the hell did they agree on this? Hey bro, take these, and we like I don't understand.
No, I don't think there was anything agreed on. I think it all just started happening in the moment when they knew what was happening.
That's crazy.
And that's when a lot of stuff tends to happen like that.
Yeah, I thought he was by himself, but he was with people.
Yeah, he was with his girl. He was with like friends of his, all that stuff pretty much.
It's just like everyone let him just like I would just like slap him out of his hand like nope, we all gonna take this fall. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone was held accountable. So.
Exactly, like y'all. It's not like they were gonna
get
away with anything.
If I were to see one of y'all take just a bunch of pills, I'd be like, what what are y'all doing?
Just slap that out of your hand. I'm like, what are you doing?
Like, what were his people doing when he
The
was taking
only thing
these
I could
pills?
think is that if somebody peeped what he was doing
House.
immediately, I'm hoping that they were like, yo, we need a paramedic immediately. Like, that's what I'm saying, because, like, what happened from that whole thing was that the feds realized it, that he started tweaking when he started walking through the airport, and then he started seizing immediately, pretty much on it. They were able to get the Narcan out, get him back. That's how he basically came to for a little bit. He was a little
And they were
conscious.
able to get in the hospital. Yeah.
Exactly, and then by the time they got to the hospital, he was dead.
What kind of girl is that?
So yeah. No, that's why I said, like, I was telling y'all, like, this whole situation could have been preventable.
Fishy.
The whole situation, I feel, could have been preventable.
Too much.
Like, it could have been prevented the whole way.
Yeah.
And so it was sad to see it go down that way, because I feel like we're going to find out more to the story, and we're just going to be like, damn, it should not have happened like that.
Yeah, there's clearly more. There has to be more. It doesn't make sense.
And my prayers are all out to Juice's family. Prayers out to Bibby, Herbo, all those guys pretty much are all affiliated pretty much in that camp. Man, I can only imagine what they're all going through right now. I know, I don't even know if y'all heard about it, but G Herbo and Joyner Lucas got into it on IG.
What was that about? Explain that to me.
So it was, so Joyner Lucas, like, there have been certain people that have kind of been very much anti, like, drugs and that kind of way, and, like, recreational use. Joyner Lucas, Russ, different people that have kind of been in that way.
Yeah.
And so Joyner posted something on Twitter basically saying, like, in layman's terms, kind of shorthanding it, being like, oh, dang, Juice died pretty much, and I blame all you guys who were talking about this stuff as cool pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, that's on you.
Yeah.
And then Herb got into his comments and was like, man, you're a, like, I think he called him, like, a lame or something like that pretty much. And basically proceeded to go on and being like, he clearly didn't do that on purpose. Like, he wasn't trying, like, that's not in his character.
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't a drug overdose.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
like, it wasn't just him, like, being like, oh, I'm doing it all. Like, nah, it wasn't one of those situations. And so that, and then Joyner commented back and said, like, I didn't even, like, I wasn't saying that it was, like, on Juice, but I'm saying it was a part of the environment around him that influenced him to actually do that, and that led to it.
Yeah.
And I get where both of them are coming from.
Yeah.
I will still say that Joyner probably should have just said R.I.P. and kept it at that for now.
Yeah.
Period.
Which
Be
one?
respectful.
Didn't they
of the
say bad
situation.
company?
Which reminds me, man. So we filmed 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
I was driving home from here, and I saw Gold Link's comments about Mac. Did y'all see that?
Yep. You want to talk about it, bro?
I don't.
Okay.
He said I don't.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I'm like,
Because that's the same situation.
Same
It's like,
thing.
nah, bro.
you
You should have left it there.
Just don't say it. Just don't talk. If he's gone, like, he's gone.
I feel you. All right, cool. That's how you feel. Fine. That's it. Don't put that stuff out on IG. What does that help?
So Gold Link basically, do y'all know what happened?
Yeah.
Okay, Gold Link came out, was basically talking about Mac Miller, saying he loved Mac Miller, but Mac Miller, like, okay, shorthand, like, I love Mac Miller, but Mac Miller stole my song.
He said he stole his
Mac Miller stole my album, but I still love you, bro. Rest in peace.
Super backhanded, passive.
Yeah, because there's no point to that comment.
Yeah.
We might as well not say.
It came out of nowhere. There was nothing that was
Nothing.
leading to that at all.
That's
it was
irrelevant.
There was no anniversary of anything. Nothing on it. It was
No
just
one asked him
Yeah.
about Mac. Or anything.
nothing.
No.
Nothing led to this.
That's
Randomly.
childish.
And Anderson .Paak proceeded
He
to get
went
in his ass.
He really did. Anderson was going off, bro.
Yeah,
That's
understandably
childish.
so. And there were some parts where I was like, "Come on, Pac. Like, okay, I get it, but I get it. That's his friend. Like,
Pac,
that was a
yeah.
big major thing of
Yes.
Anderson .Paak stuff on Oxnard. He had a song on there called "Cheers" with Q-Tip, but even he was kind of relating this on the album where he was just like, "Dang, like, I really wish Mac was here. I hate all the fake love that people are basically giving him right now,
Yeah.
and all this stuff pretty much on it because he's like, that was actually my friend that I lost right there." And he was like, dog, like, and he even lamented on that album going back to the drug use and everything where he's like, how can I tell my friend to stop using it when I'm doing it myself?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he felt that kind of regret on his own end on like, this all could have been avoided.
Yeah.
And so now you're basically going at his friend and he's like, bruh, I don't even know you like that.
Yeah.
And since Mac ain't even here to speak on it, bet. I'm
Alright,
sorry,
yeah.
nigga. So
Yeah.
he's like, all right,
But-
and he said his piece about it.
But it's clear Gold Link was just reaching because he didn't stop there. He had said some comments about the Grammys and how YB and Cordae was.
But I felt his comments on the Grammys though. But who knows? Maybe it was spurred because Diaspora got snubbed in his own way. The album he just put out this year.
Crazy.
But I felt him on because he said there's so many people basically in music now that aren't getting the recognition that they deserve, and the Grammy and the Grammy committee should be giving to them pretty much in a lot of ways. And I was like, I get that. And
I don't think you should do it at the taking shots at Cordero. I don't think that's necessary.
I agree. Yeah,
because we can all agree that the Grammys, Oscars, anything that the white people created as an award show has its issues.
For sure.
Period.
Sure.
But
that's true.
taking shots at other artists who deserve their spot that they got that's not beneficial.
It just makes it looks bad on you. It's like
Exactly.
at the end of the day, it is true. Like bad company corrupts good manners, but you have to really be cognizant of the people that you keep in your circle, because like you said, how he was like, how can I tell my friend to stop, but I'm doing it, or like you said, Juice was on a plane full of his friends and his girl and all that stuff. Like you said, if you see one of your friends taking a bunch of pills, you're gonna slap it out of his hand and be like, bro, what are you doing? Like, we gonna all take this. We gonna take this right. We gonna go down together. Like, we ride together, we die together, kind of thing. So it's like we all packed this on there. It wasn't just you bringing it by yourself. So it's like everyone's still living, whether the consequences they face is life or death, whatever. You know, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, if you go in it together, you know, they weren't tripping about being flamboyant about showing everything, so it shouldn't be a secret at the end.
You know, airplanes have toilets.
You talking about flushing?
Why didn't they flush them?
Yeah.
They would have dissolved.
I think they were popped. It was one thing pretty much, and whenever you're basically in panic mode and trying to like figure out stuff, your mind ends up going into, oh my gosh, like what do I do pretty much here, that kind of thing.
Fight or flight.
There could have been a mix of stuff, especially in Juice's, where he was like, I hate to even say it like this though, but he was like, cool, one, let me get them off the trail pretty much and just basically swallow all these pills, but also like if I do, it's a numbing effect pretty much where it's just like I go out. Like I don't even like that kind of thing pretty much, and so that's why I said like the dangers of just kind of being at a point where it's like whatever happens.
He's the famous one.
And I get you on the flushing thing though, but it's also a thing where they may have thought in their head too, like even if we try and do something like that, we can't do this all at once. Right. Like they weren't going to be able to flush all that weed. Like it's
not the weed. No, I wasn't talking about the weed. I'm talking about the pills.
The codeine. I got you. But even then, who knows? Maybe they also look. Maybe they know the cops will look and be like, okay, let's go check the tank.
I'm about to say,
see all that stuff just flush out pretty much there and like test it, pretty much run up their stuff. So
they know how it's gonna turn out.
Fight or flight. Some people aren't good under pressure, so
that's why just don't put yourself in these positions. Don't put yourself in these positions.
Be very mindful of what you get yourself in, because it's gonna be harder to get out of it. Like honestly, but can we have a moment of silence for Juice and Mac? Dogs.
Rest in peace, Juice.
Rest in peace. So let's just get into. Let's do a review. Because we've been talking for a while, but you want to do a review of just this year, or just the past 10?
10, bro. 10
is gonna be crazy.
10.
Like if we go, we can do like it'll basically.
This is bonus. This is bonus.
How about
go for it? This is bonus.
Yeah, just do highlights.
So we'll upload this separately, but this is bonus.
How about our 5 biggest?
Yeah, I'm about to say just do highlights
for the past 10 years.
Woo. Well, how about this? Let's do 5 highlights and let's do 5 lessons.
Okay.
What have you learned? What has bettered you? Because bro, think about it. Just think about how we've grown from 2010 to 2020.
No, there's a lot there. That's
why
a
lot of lessons.
Yeah, that's why when we were talking about the alternate timelines and everything, I was kind of like, man, there's a lot that I've kind of learned in this past decade. We
can do like 3 of each. Like
okay,
top 3 of each.
Yeah,
perfect way to put this all into all basically like into context and stuff. So, for the first time I think since you uploaded this video, I watched that video of me discussing Gucci Mane.
Oh, you went back and watched it?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
It just randomly came up at convo with one of my boys this past weekend. We were talking.
I mean, because I couldn't let you live it down.
Okay, all right. It's but it came up randomly, and I was like, bro, I gotta find this video and like share this with you. So
Facebook?
It's still on YouTube.
Oh, YouTube.
Yeah, it's still on YouTube. So I looked on YouTube. I just typed in like little keywords and found it. And so I sent it over, and I was like, "Damn, I haven't watched this thing probably since you put it up."
Yeah.
Mind you, okay. So for everybody, we brought it up a little bit here, but like for everybody, pretty much. So I was a big Gucci Mane fan in high school, like huge Gucci Mane fan, like junior, senior year of high school, which was basically like end of 2008 to like middle of 2010. Huge WAP fan, like big. Wayne and him were my biggest ones pretty much, and Drake was getting there pretty much for me because I'd known about him for a few years up to that point. And so I was telling both Joe and Josh about this one night, pretty much of how big my fandom was, and Joe was so flabbergasted by this. He's like, I gotta catch this on video. Like, I gotta, like, we have to catch it on video. Like, bro, like, you
got everything on video.
Yeah,
back in the day,
yeah, bro. Like, it was, and so it's literally me on camera, basically defending Gucci Man, and just basically saying like where he was standing at the time.
No.
Okay, what?
Tell him what you actually said. What you actually were saying.
I said Gucci Man was one of the top 3 rappers.
That's what you said.
Of that era.
I was about to say, you say he was better.
Basically, at that time. I'll say
he
that.
did. He needs to get to it. He hasn't got to it yet.
I said it was Wayne, Drake, and Gucci.
He did. He said exactly that.
Yeah.
But you said specifically.
Okay, what did I say?
You said that Gucci Man is better than someone who.
I said he was better than Soulja Boy. I know that. Who did I say?
You said he was better than Wayne.
That's a given.
I don't think I said he was better than Wayne in that video, though. I have to go back and rewatch it because I said he was up there because I couldn't decide between those 3. But I was definitely caping for him. I was like, oh no, we're going to put some respect on Gucci's name right here. That's happening. Yeah. The one very regrettable thing that I was like, I didn't even remember saying this, though. The one super regrettable thing, though, because every other thing I stand by in that video still to this day, like every other thing except for this one thing, because of that era of it. But I said Jay-Z's lyrics were overrated.
You're tripping.
I said that in that video. I was like, what was I thinking?
You know what you're doing right now?
I was like, bro, what was I thinking?
You know what you're doing right now?
But it's a part of being a kid, y'all.
It's the L. It's the L.
That's growth.
For sure.
That's growth.
Bro,
it's that lesson.
You know what you're doing right now? You're sitting down. Stay seated. You're tripping. Jay-Z lyrics are over.
Anyway, that's what I'm saying.
That's a lesson right there.
For sure. But
that
teaches you about youth pretty much and just not. Because I was like, bro, like at that, and I understood myself at that time because I was like, I didn't understand this man's lyrics. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Like, I was like, yeah, like pretty much like, and also mind you, to be fair, this was during the era where like literally the last album he had put out was Blueprint 3.
Yeah, that was
it's a good sounding album, but it wasn't the lyrical hoe we were used to, right?
Yeah, the Black Album is still one of Jay-Z's like best albums. Like when he did 99 Problems, he's like, "Sir, I stopped you because you're going 55."
That song was, I love that song, "Dirt Off Your Shoulder." I'm talking about how I felt at that time because there are different songs now from his entire discography that I love now. Yeah, I completely get it. Now. Yeah, shout out to Hope, man. But like, yeah, man. I was like, I said that, and I was just like, yikes!
I wish I could go back and listen and see some of the stuff that I said back then because I'm sure a lot of it was outlandish.
Bro, that'd be amazing. To be able to go back and like go to certain moments and be like, what was this?
What was
I
talking about? Like, what was I doing?
I know. Me personally, I've made plenty mistakes. I'm someone who, I'm gonna be transparent. I don't really care right now. I'm someone who's cheated on women prior to my marriage, obviously. That's some regrettable that I've had. That I've made multiple mistakes doing that. I'm someone who was very lazy in college and chose to not give even the needed effort to graduate. I'm someone who I didn't grow up when I needed to. So I see the person I was before, and I'm grateful that I'm not that person.
For sure.
But at the same time, like when you're younger, like you make mistakes because you just don't know any better.
Yeah,
you
really
don't care. You really don't.
You don't think about the consequences.
It's not even there in the front of your head
at all.
Like
period. That's it. That was kind of even going back to Juice WRLD for a second though, and what rang in my head pretty much because I was like, dog, at 21 I was a mess, like a mess, and I still at this point am like a person where I'm like I'm working on stuff. Like constantly though, but at least now I'm working on stuff. I'm acknowledging these things and saying, cool, this is something that I want to actually work on and I feel I need to work on and I need to actually give this thing credence so I can actually get better. Yeah,
bro, that is the ultimate level of growing up and maturity because I struggle with that. I struggle with being like, I sometimes I see the issues that I have Like even to this day, I'd be like, man, I really should be better in that area, but I don't put the effort in. Like I need to actually fix that stuff, and that can be frustrating not just for you, but those around you.
For sure, yeah.
And we really don't realize that sometimes. So it's.
Well, I feel you though, and like I'll be transparent pretty much on like one thing that factors in where I was like I realized I was affecting people pretty much that way. But me, I know we've kind of talked about this a little bit too. But me like looking at relationships and being romantic in that way, and still looking and being like, there was a point where I had to be very honest with myself and be like, bro, I'm not ready for this. Yeah. And when I look at a relationship and actually finding the woman I want to marry, like I want to know that I'm fully ready, like to actually take on whatever is at hand. I'm not saying I'm gonna be perfect. Yeah. But I know I'm ready to be able to be in that relationship and be like, cool. And it was a long winding road of getting to that decision pretty much where I was just like, you know what? I've been trying to force this here. Because I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. Instead of focusing on myself and being like, yo, like first concentrate on yourself. Find out about yourself. Yeah. Like know yourself. The most important thing, love yourself. Yeah. And then from there, you can go from there and be able to love others and not have that kind of effect where you're just using other, like how I looked at it, using other women around you to basically fill a hole that is just going to be emptied out immediately. Bro. And you're not even finding happiness within yourself. Yeah. Go search for yourself, dude.
Bro, this preaching, bro.
Yeah. So I say all that pretty much. I know we just hit on that pretty much, but like, yeah, what are the biggest things y'all took away from the decade?
From 17 to 27. Sheesh. That's a long time. That's a long time.
Crazy.
Nah, biggest thing I think I learned, not the biggest thing, but one of the biggest things I learned is how people have kind of like told us like, this is what the world is like, this is what the world is like. None of that was true. The perception that people have given us on what things really are, whether it was our parents, I mean, they did their best, they tried,
of course, yeah,
or the media, who we don't know any better. That when we were younger, we really didn't know any better. We just took what they said as this is how the world is. Yeah, none of that is true. Like there's so much more to how things actually work. It's more complex. There's so much more to people's intentions behind things. The lie that you have to just get a job. You just go to college to get a job, and then you just get married and you just get a house, pick a fence, and a dog. Like that's not real. Like you can choose to have that life. I'm not gonna knock anybody who chooses to have that life, but there is so much more than what they tell you there is.
Yeah, when it comes to life.
So I guess I've learned, like for me, like my spiritual life has changed a lot. Yeah. Over the past 10 years, like it was obviously a very basic childlike faith. But man, going through school, going through relationships, it's like you have to have a faith. Like for me, I know for sure, like my faith in God has brought me through a lot of stuff. If I didn't believe in God, if I didn't trust in my relationship with Jesus, like I probably wouldn't be here. Thanks. And I will say another thing I've learned is really to take care of my mental health, man. It's not something I thought about back then. I had to deal with stress. I had to deal with being anxious and nervous and like things like that. Like being depressed. Man, I used to hear about people being depressed. I used to like listen, like hear about it until I actually was depressed. I didn't really understand, like, okay, so this is how that feels. That's not okay, right? And really just learning how to cope and deal and manage and change things around in my life to where I am a happier person. Like just deep down inside, I'm really just happy with like the things that I go through. Like really learning to embrace the changes that happen in my life. Really learn to embrace where I'm at, not necessarily like focus hard on, I'm not where I want to be, but really just understand like, here's where I'm at, learn this lesson here, try to find something good about this job, try to find something good about this position that you're in, try to learn something here. It's really helped me become, I think, the person who I am now and the person who I'm going to be for the next 10 years. Someone who does rely on his faith, someone who does rely on people around me. Because Because a lot of the time for me back then, it's like, I'll do it myself. Like, I had people around me to help me, but I chose to do things myself and chose to do things my way. And now it's more like, all right, I know people who I can trust. I know people who have a foundation laid pretty much now to where I have a core group of friends who I kick it with, who I talk to, who I take advice from, who I give advice to. Because a lot of that is very important as well. You have to have people around you to be there for you. Like this thing that we're doing right now, like this is something that, I never really thought that I'd be doing. Like it was always a cool idea, but actually what we've done is like putting into action. It's like, man, all right, cool. Like it's actually gonna taught me like you can actually do things that you want to do.
Bro, like it's difficult. Like I know myself. I'm naturally a lazy person. Like there's I have so many ideas. I have so many things that I want to do. There's so many things that to most people they'd be like, oh, you can't do that. I'm just like, if I would just give that effort, because all it takes is being dedicated enough to be like, you know what, I'm just going to keep doing this until it comes to fruition.
Yeah, that's some discipline.
Exactly, it takes discipline, and that comes with time. This conversation that we're having right here is one of the most influential conversations for me personally that we've ever had.
Yeah, because
I've been going through some things, but it's just nothing like realizing like, okay, I can do this. I just got to go do it. Like it's not, but like it's just something about realizing, okay, it's worth it.
Right.
Because when you realize that it's worth it, your whole perception of why you're doing it changes. It's one thing to be like, oh, I could do that, but that would take up time from this. That would take up time from this. That would take this money that I need for this. And that's being an adult.
Yeah.
You look at those things. When you're a kid, you're not worried about those things.
Not at all.
When you're an adult, you're looking at every. Here's the thing. You're looking at every reason and every excuse to not do something.
Boy.
So it's
excuses are tools of the incompetent, man.
I'm telling you.
They lead to nothing, bro.
They're like
excuses lead to you being and doing nothing.
That's a bar.
Yeah, and then like you're talking about mental health, like it's tough with the excuses because sometimes those excuses just come from your inner issues. It's not always like it is incompetence, but sometimes it's just like your inner self is like, oh, I can't do that because of this, or like and it is a struggle to overcome that stuff, and that's why you do need support. You need a foundation. That's something I struggle with, but that's why you got to have that.
I hear you, bro.
That's real life.
Yeah,
that's real life. Honestly, and I would say, I've had quite a few takeaways in the 2010s, but definitely to touch on most of like what y'all said. Like, well, one thing I can definitely say
you had a kid
that has taken. That's one of my highlights. But I can definitely say one thing that I guess I can say a few things. Like, for example, everyone's not your friend. That's true. Yeah, I have to learn that. Ride for those that will ride for you. Time and place, that was a big thing because in high school, we would joke about like, all the jokes, mom jokes and things like that, and it kind of continued a little bit afterwards, but now that we talk, like most of that stuff doesn't. For years we've talked, that stuff doesn't even come up, but it's just it's kind of funny because I gauged how I interacted with people like in the corporate world as opposed to like with my friends like outside of that, because like in the world I couldn't sit there and talk about their mom and all that stuff. Like, no, like I'm mollywopped. Like, bro, I forgot. I slipped up and said something to one of my homeboys. He was like, "What'd you say?" I was like, "Hold on, let me just reel that back." Hold on, like let me reel that back in. I'm sorry. I was like, wrong person, wrong environment. You really had to learn that factor because it's like you can still like one thing, and of course I've never changed. I just had to learn how to tweak it. It's just like being authentic, being myself. Like people will try to tell you, kind of like when we were talking about like the other day, like about corporate America. Like you hear like people will maybe try to tell you how to improve or change, but it's like you don't have to. You can be you because that's who you are. Everyone else is taken. At the end of the day, you can be you, and it's like really being involved with that, and then just honestly and truly, like I don't have the most perfect walk with God, but definitely just getting stronger in that and just trying to definitely maintain it for myself, for my family.
Yeah.
And, just trying to make wiser decisions and really think forward, don't think backwards. And it's just, it's crazy because like the moment when you're, 17, 18, you think of stuff for when you turn 19.
Right.
When you're 27,
right.
you think of stuff when you're 35.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that comes quick. People don't realize, like, the older you get, the faster time goes.
Yes. Yeah, man, like, it's crazy. And it's like you really have to just be on top of those things. And it's, finances and, like we were saying, like, Juice being 20. It's like, bro, when we were 20, we thought we were grown adults. 21, like, I can drink now. I can do whatever. I can get in the club now, bar. Like, it's like, it's so much more to that. It's like, my mom literally told me, living under her roof, it's like, you ain't grown, because I live with her. She's like, you get your own stuff. You want to do what you want to do, you get your own stuff.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And it's like literally when you have to like really think about like, because I know there's some people I know that I've known that job hopper, things like that, and it's like that's kind of crazy because it's like at the end of the day, it's like you have to. You don't really have responsibilities, but it's like once you get that, all that stuff, like you really have to kind of stay put and like really realize what you want to do, and you have to really just be in it. Like your focus has to be there because at the end of the day, you still want to make your, like I know John is gonna be the first, like you say he's gonna be a millionaire. He's gonna like, oh yeah, I got all the, he got all his dreams and his goals, but it's like he said, being disciplined. Yeah. And it's really just like, at the end of the day, he can't just shirk everything else. Like, I'm not gonna work a job. I'm just gonna go do it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Like if I go down this path and quit this job I got right now, and not worry about the bills. I gotta keep a roof over my wife's head.
Exactly.
Keep food in our. Keep a car. Yeah. No, if I could, I would. But that's not real life. Like you gotta, and you can't just be talk. Like
can't.
It's cheap.
Walk it like I talk it.
Like Stephen actually preached a sermon recently called "Just Talk."
Yeah.
And it's not everybody that watches us or pays attention to us believes in God, but that is my faith. So I'm gonna speak from that.
Yeah.
That point of view. And it convicted me a lot because I'm a person who I know, God has certain things for me. I know there's a place that I'm headed. I know where I want to get to. Mm. So, and I'm unabashedly decided like, okay, well, I'm going to talk it because I know that's where I'm going and speaking it into existence, which is a legitimate thing. But work is behind everything. You have to have work behind everything. Nothing just happens.
Yeah.
Nothing just pops up. Now, when your words line up with your actions, and your action lines up with your words, that is when stuff is produced, like, substantially.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just like you got to be about something. You can't just be on autopilot.
Right.
You can't just be like, oh well, it's okay. I'm just do my routine. No, right. You can't have a routine. As an adult, I mean, you can be like, oh, there's certain things I do on certain days, whatever, but you can't actually have a routine because the world is changing. And if you do the same thing you did yesterday for the next 5 years, you'll be in the same place you were 5 years ago.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
It's
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's tough, man. Like especially like you said, when you have your own personal struggles, like from you grew up a certain way or. You have a certain mindset, or you just you have depression or anything like that. Like it's not easy at all. But we have that in us. We have it in us to overcome.
Yeah, that's true.
And we have to encourage ourselves because it's not easy.
Bars on bars. Goodness gracious.
And that's the thing that goes beyond just us. Like that's for anybody who's listening, anybody who's doing that. Like I said earlier. We all bring something very unique to the world, and that is ourselves. That is our perspective. That is our walk. That is exactly what it is. So let's hone in on those kind of things and bring that and then build on those things and just make the world a better place around us. Like, for real. Like, I've said this in past episodes before, too. The world's already dark enough.
Yeah, true.
We got to put a light into it in our own way.
Yeah.
So,
That's what is it, MLK? He said, hate can't drive out hate, only love can do that. Like dark can't drive out dark, only light can do that. Yeah, that's so true. Like that's very, very true. Like we have to be a light to one another and just really, just hold each other accountable and really think about the company that you keep because I'll never forget my mom. She would always tell me like, "Show me your friends, I'll show you your future," kind of thing. And it's just like, Sister Act, if you want to be somebody, you want to go somewhere, pay attention. Like, come on, bro. Like, it's so true. It's like this stuff that we hear that we just, we kind of just shirk or you think about it. It's like when it sets in, it's for real. Like it's real life, and it's just, you just really can't say it enough. It's just man, it's crazy. Like, when you realize for 10 years, like, bro, what has changed in 10 years?
10 years is a lot.
And then, like, we were talking about the alternate universes. You think about if you hadn't learned that lesson. You hadn't learned that one lesson that happened these 10 years. There are plenty of lessons you learned, but just find one.
Bro.
So you hadn't learned that, where you'd be now.
Bro, I'll put it this way. I brought up loving yourself, self-love, right? Concentrating on yourself, getting to know yourself in a lot of ways. There was a crossroads that I had with that. And I really felt like there was a way that it could go pretty much from here. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't have ended up being like in as good of a place as I am right now, from mentally, physically, so many different things pretty much, right? From figuring that stuff out. But I do think that there was definitely an expedition, I guess, was kind of what happened a little bit with it, and just kind of like being honest with myself through that, and being able to take away from that and build on it instead of just being like, oh no, I'm just gonna worry about that and just continuously keep doing what I'm doing, or I'm just gonna stick with this and just keep going. Like, I really feel there were crucial choices that I've made in my life, especially over the last 5 years. I think post college for sure. That have been very crucial in making sure that my mental state is completely intact, that I'm maturing emotionally as a person in a lot of ways, especially like just knowing myself and knowing, all right, how I basically process stuff. And that, speaking of that, processing stuff. There would be times where I would just like kind of just like sit, okay, whatever kind of thing, and then whatever happens from there is whatever happens from there, and you let stuff just bottle up and stuff like that. It's not healthy. And it would just be like there is a thing where it's just like you have to think about it, kind of go through your process of stuff, and then kind of build from there and know that it is going to still be a process. It's not perfect. You're not, and that was another thing. You're not perfect. So it's like, take as much time as you absolutely need. Make sure you're not impeding on other people's growth in that kind of way, and make sure that you yourself are growing as a person. And I think that was the biggest thing that I took away from it. I knew it was still going to be a bit of a process. I knew I was going to have to learn a little bit more patience through doing it, but I still feel like that's what kept everything whole. And so that's one thing I'll say.
That's good. I love your take on relationships, like you said about how if you weren't ready, like that resonated when we had that conversation. But also, one thing too is people make time for what they want.
For sure.
Like, hands down, people make. And like, one thing, I've never really been one to like bug people, but I know for a fact now, and people have always, oh, you did, like, you leave people, but it's just like, I'm not really one to like, if I text you once, you may get a second text, because at the end of the day, let's be real, the age that we're at, people are on their phone. I mean, literally all day, every day.
Yeah.
Like, that's why Apple made screen time for that very reason, because people stay on their phone. And I'm just like, at the end of the day, if we talk, we talk. If we don't, we don't. But it's just like, people genuinely make time for what they want when it comes to friends, when it comes to dreams, when it comes to goals, when it comes to relations, like anything like that. Like, people make time for what they want. So it's like, you have to really keep that in mind, even with yourself. If you gonna do it, you gonna do it. At the end of the day, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You gonna do it. I mean, you gonna set aside that time, whether it's an hour, whether it's 2, whether it's 10 minutes. You gonna do it. So
that's real.
So the past 10 years, I think we should wait until next time to talk about predictions.
Okay, bet.
I think we can go on for probably the whole time talking about what we think is going to happen.
Sure.
But I will say for the past, I guess some milestones: graduated high school, graduated college, got married, top 3. That's my
What I do? I did graduate high school. That's awesome. I did get married to the amazingness that is Jasmine Jackson.
Yeah, shout out to Jasmine.
What else did I do? Probably started like 3 businesses.
Only you would say it like that. Naked. Like only
just 3.
Can't stand this guy.
I haven't even started one.
Yeah,
He started 3.
Hey, none of them have been successes yet, so that's so it's kind of like,
Bro, you still did it
but
though.
Just starting, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm
You
telling
know the basics, the ins and outs. Like that's still good. You know?
and I did play college basketball. That's legitimately a thing.
That's a highlight.
Yeah.
I'm with you on the business thing because I didn't.
Like, do you you couldn't saw yourself coming out of high school starting Kairos?
No. That's what I'm saying. Like the fact that. Yeah, like the fact that I just said that out loud is kind of weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
I started a business.
Yeah.
That's weird, man.
It's empowering.
It is, though. It is.
Black people in power.
I might just start saying that more often. Maybe I'll feel better about myself.
Bro, like it is, bro. Like
it is a good feeling.
It's important to find ways that actually genuinely hit your self esteem.
Yeah.
Because no one else is gonna do it for you.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
Like that.
Not at all.
No one's gonna do it for you.
I'm a businessman. This is a
I will
business, man.
Well, yeah, y'all go ahead. I want to say something after that.
I was just gonna ask who said that part.
I don't remember. This is a businessman. I'm a business. What do you say? This is a
remember
businessman.
Who was that?
I don't know. It came out.
I'm joking, y'all. It's Hov, but it was a
Okay.
callback.
Oh,
to
yeah,
me
it was,
saying-
okay.
It was a callback to me saying.
I
he was
really,
overrated.
I really forgot to say.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next? Top 3.
Top 3.
You got it. Bro, if you want it.
Number 1, MJ. Number 1, my dog, my Ace Boom Coon, my dude. The biggest lesson I've ever learned, and I'm still learning.
That's real. That's real.
Day.
That's real.
Yeah.
My dog, my son. That's like tops all my highlights. Like
Yeah.
That's
what's up.
That was outstanding.
I was a father.
I was definitely up here, but graduating high school was cool.
It was like, that was alright.
Let me see. Moving out was good. That was great actually. That helped me. That grew me up a little bit actually. Yeah, that grew me up. Excelling in like my jobs was cool. But yeah, mostly I have like little highlights here and there, but no, my son was definitely that was number 1 highlight. Like at the end of the day, I could be doing some different things in my life right now. However, I wouldn't change it for the world.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's a beautiful word.
That's growth.
That's my dog. I've turned down quite a few jobs and things like that, but I refuse. Like I refuse to just that work-life balance. Like people like, you only see him on the weekends. Okay, that's all the more reason why I'm not about to go live somewhere else or do something else because I only see him.
Yeah, and when you say no, they're gonna feel that's why with somebody else anyway.
Correct. Like I'm like, bro, I'm trying to maximize the time I get with him. It's like I've been, when he was younger and I've been guilty of not fully being there when I'm with him. Because sometimes you may get wrapped up in homework or going somewhere, but it's just at the end of the day, it's like I still want to be present and see. We're talking about enrolling him in sports next year, so it's just I asked him, what you want to play? Basketball. Okay.
Dang, you gonna be hitting him with the AI crossover?
Ooh, MJ, good. You gonna be a model or a basketball player? Which one?
Hey, you got it, bro. You got it. Also, low key, I have a close friend who actually trains kids in basketball starting at the age of 2.
Oh, that's great.
And he actually has a team as well.
Oh, okay.
Both his sons. He has a 2 and a 3-year-old, and his 3-year-old. For a 3-year-old, I don't know how crazy this is to say, but he's cold for a 3-year-old.
Oh, well, then shoot me his info.
Definitely.
I know that's something that'll teach him good discipline too. So it's just along with the discipline, we teach him it's sports and stuff
and
like that.
It really helps because they're soaking in so much information at that age.
Exactly.
It helps their listening because they actually have to figure out instructions.
Right.
So not that I know I ain't a dad yet. One day, pray to God.
Yeah.
But
You take your time.
oh no, I'm not rushing. But I ain't getting younger though.
Jackson's enough.
According to you.
I got 2 sons.
According to you.
I got Yachty and Makai. So I'm like, yeah.
Shit, what you got, man?
Top 3.
Yeah, I'll definitely put school for sure up there. Especially like my journey in school was kind of a wild one. So to be able to come out, get it, and then be in something that like I know I'll be able to use. In its own way, even if it's not exactly like in the way that it's being used, but just be able to use it for myself. I think was really, really important. The second thing I can really think of off top would be more so, I guess, finally, like it was, I guess that the self-love part of it all. That was a very important thing that like I needed to learn at that time, and I feel like that was at a point where I was going through a depressive state and I didn't realize it.
Right.
And being able to address that and just kind of be like, all right, I've been doing the same stuff over and over and over and over again, and just being like, cool, like I need to go ahead and focus on that in its own way. That helped a lot.
So I will say that I kind of want to end off just, if you guys will allow me to end off this way.
What's up?
I want to talk about you guys, man, because we've known each other for.
Bro, I was thinking about this actually the other day.
I got some.
Let me put this in the
tell y'all
context.
later.
I've known you since I was 2. Right? So I've known you since I was 5.
Yes, that's correct.
I've known you since I was 13.
13, yeah.
Sheesh. I was thinking about. I was like, bro, like even out of that, like I've known you for almost 15 years now.
Yeah, which sounds crazy.
That's crazy.
It sounds crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
It does
Like,
sound crazy.
I don't know how long I know none of y'all niggas. Now that you put it in the context,
Yeah,
okay,
man.
now I know. Okay.
I met all y'all in 06.
Yeah.
In 06, man. It's about to be 2020.
Yeah.
So what I'll say, man, I would like to end this with Joe's final thoughts on my homies, because I've been there to actually see you guys grow. Like I've seen it all. I've been there. You know what I'm saying? I might not have been there the whole time, like been there in every circumstance, but I've been there. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, so you witnessed some stuff.
I
see some.
I was one of the first people you met. I was like, Justin, we was like.
So I'll say the past 10 years, man, like, Chidge, I'll start with you, bro, because, like, you were probably the smartest one out of all of us.
Oh, easily.
So, I'll say this, man, I think you've just only gotten smarter. And I mean that in a good way.
I can see it.
I mean that in a good way. Because,
Your intellect.
yeah, bro, because we've always been able to have these conversations, but
Yeah.
we've always been able, like, it's always with you, it's always something deep, it's always something meaningful, it's always something that, it's almost like old Nickelodeon shows. Like, there's always a lesson in it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like every time we talk, there's always some type of lesson.
But that's your character.
And that's something that hasn't changed, which is good, but it's only evolved, it's only grown. So, like, 17-year-old Chiz to grown man Chiz, like, all right, this dude has his head on his shoulders. So the way you were able to, like, you just mentioned how you kind of had to do some self-reflecting. You had to tell yourself, you know what? Okay, here's some things I need to change. Most people can't do that. Like, to be honest, most people can't.
Tough.
Most people can't make those decisions and make those changes just on a whim. And
Or even see that far ahead.
exactly, and to even have a plan like that. So seeing you go to school, seeing you get out, and just be working, and your journey with I mean, literally even just down to your hair. You know what I'm saying? Like you have. I feel like the things that you do, like, they always have a meaning, whether it's big or small. Like, there's always a meaning behind every conversation, every choice that I feel like I've seen you make. So I will say, man, I appreciate seeing your growth, because honestly, that's one thing that, like, looking at you makes me say, all right, you know, I know some people, I know at least one person who's got a good head on his shoulders, who's consistently trying to progress, who's consistently trying to learn, not just about things in school, but things about the world. Like, you always have a knowledge of whatever it is that we're talking about, whether it be sports, whether it be music. We talk about politics. We talk about conspiracy theories, like you're there. You know, you're right on the nose with it. So I appreciate that, bro. Real talk. John Gray. Johnny. 17-year-old, man. 17 years old. I remember us playing basketball together in high school. I remember you going off to school playing basketball. I remember us keeping in touch when we come back from break. You started different tees, which I still do have the beanie.
It's a good,
and the shirt.
Good stuff, bro. It's good stuff.
I have the beanie and the shirt.
I will hype anything that I put my name on until I die.
Straight up. I mean, seeing your relationship, you were the first one of us to get married, man. Like seeing your relationship with your wife, the way you guys have gone from freaking freshman year all the way up to where you are now.
That's the thing. That's what you saw.
Yeah,
right.
These two saw so much.
Yeah.
It's.
I saw the whole build of it.
Yeah.
I was just ridiculous.
But just seeing y'all, seeing you grow, man. Seeing you. Seeing the way you take care of your family, the way you're always associated with your family, you're hanging out with your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, like you're a family man. You know. Also, the way you're so business minded, like.
I just hate working for other people, man.
I feel you.
Something in me is just like that's not for you.
But like just seeing the way that I remember the jobs that you had when we were in high school, and just seeing to where you are now, like you're making money, you're providing, like you're doing what you got to do. And then one thing that's really, I think that's really that I've seen in you in the past 10 years is the way that you've matured spiritually.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I think you've always been a churchgoer, you've always been a believer, but just even the past like 5 years, like just seeing the way that you talk, seeing the way that you speak, the way that you address things, like the way that you do have some sort of like calmness when you speak. Yeah. Like you're not really quick to go off on anyone, or you actually like think about things, like you're like and you handle yourself accordingly. So I will say, man, seeing your growth, I think one thing, like the major thing that I've noticed in you, like your growth spiritually has taken you to another level. I think that if you continue to hold on to that, 2020 to 2030, man.
Dude, it sounds like some good years, bro.
It's gonna be
some good years for all of us. It's gonna be good years for all of us, man.
Josh, it's just you've probably grown the most. Man, Josh, bro. It's like you were talking about how you used to like do all the jokes. You were annoying in high school.
Right.
You were always a homie.
All that stuff.
You were always a homie. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you were annoying. But you did learn how to control it. You did learn, like, you did kind of grow out of it. We still joke around and stuff, obviously, but I think I've seen you, one, mature in a way that I've always appreciated the fact that you've always held down a job.
True.
Like, I remember Six Flags. I remember K&G. I remember all these jobs you had. Like,
what year were you working at K&G? Because that feels like yesterday.
2011, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that feels like yesterday.
But Josh is always someone who's like, even before Makai, like he's always like, I gotta work, gotta have a job, gotta have
bread, boy.
The way that you, since having your son, I've seen you grow tremendously. Right, you had your kid, and you're like, all right, I'm not gonna let this change anything. I'm really just about to go harder. And to see how you've gone to work, you've won all these awards, you've been able to travel because of work, you've been able to have, these nice things, provide for yourself, get these apartments, and really just have, really to keep relationships with people. That's another thing with you. Like you
value that.
You might not talk to people like every day, but you still keep in touch with everyone. Like everyone.
I do. Yes, for
like,
sure.
Bro, like you blew my mind that we was at the Margarita Ball, and they brought you, but she got you tickets, and you brought Priscilla. I was like, y'all hang out, like
yeah. So I will say that, man, seeing you grow, like as far as like your family life and taking care of business, bro. Like TCOB, that's one thing that you've always done, especially with your son, man. I applaud that. Like real talk, 17-year-old Josh to 27-year-old Josh, totally different person. Yeah. But it's just with all y'all, man. It's just growth. Like it's maturity. I've seen y'all mature, and it's saying something because we have friends. We know people. I'm sure all of us know people who are getting older, but they're not maturing.
Yeah.
You know, they're still stuck in that mindset of being 17, 18 years old. So I applaud y'all, man. Like I thank y'all for really just doing this, like coming together as a collective, just being able to talk and discuss these types of things, man, as grown men, able to actually look back and self-reflect on the lessons that we've learned and to be able to look forward to the lessons that we're going to learn. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate this platform. Like I said, I say it all the time. I appreciate the platform because this is something special. We get 10 views a week. I don't care, bro.
Straight up. Feel the same way. Yeah.
Like, I'm here.
Because we would have done this anyway.
Yeah.
Because
just to let it out. Like,
this is more for us than anybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just gotta say something.
I enjoy using whatever knowledge I have to help us have a presence and all that, but and have it presented well and all that. But this really is for us more than it's for anybody else.
For real.
Yeah, I look forward to this time. I can't lie. Like I'm like, if it comes like the Tuesday we linking up, I'm like, nah, I can't make no plans. Like,
Straight up.
my boys, we got a podcast. We got to talk about some things.
Oh man, I even just remember like when we first started getting the whole thing together and we were like figuring out days and stuff like that.
Yeah, bro.
I was like Tuesday. I was like, we all work.
Yeah.
We're all coming from jobs. Y'all are married. You have Makai and Yachty that you also have to worry about as well. I was like, all right, bet like. Well, this has been kind of something years in the making in a lot of ways.
A decade.
Literally. Even down to the point.
Literally.
That's what I'm saying. Even down to the point where we were like, all right, let's just do it. Let's just finally do it. Like, just gotta get this
Bro, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Like literally just making finding a way, being agile, finding a way. Because I'll never forget when it's crazy because I think you and whatchamacallit, you, me. Chiz, you, me, and Joe, we were on the phone for 3 hours, and that's how the idea sparked.
That's
That's what's so crazy because Joseph said staying in contact with people. It's it's literally I don't talk to people every day, but it's just checking in with them, seeing how they're doing.
I know you. I can speak and attest for that for sure.
The biggest thing.
That was you always hitting me up and being like, yo, what's happening? And then we just have our combos like we normally do. We may not even have talked in
literally
2-3 months, but it's just all right, bet what's cracking? That's it, and just talk on the phone for hours.
That's what I'm saying. I've never hold grudges and things like that. I just talk to people because it's at the end of the day, I grew up on the phone, so it's I like talking to people because it's bro. I mean, it's that's what your message is not discombobulated or it's not misheard.
Yep.
It's it's just communicated right then and there. It's kind of being face to face with the person. So it's just the easiest thing, but definitely John coming on board was great. I mean, definitely that. I think us for the forecast. We make a very solid team, and it's just.
What would y'all have been called without me? Come on. It would have been some terrible 3-punt that he came up with. It probably would have been the terrible 3.
Three's Company.
Exactly.
Three's
Company.
For real.
Exactly. But honestly, I will say, Joseph.
Yeah.
Due to your kind words, I have to say something too. Mm-hmm. You have also definitely grown, and also I don't go to a lot of people for advice, especially people my age. But Joseph is one of the people that I know I can go to and have a legitimate conversation and just talk about real life stuff and get great advice, solid, sound, profound advice.
And I think even more on top of that, because I was like, there's no way you're commenting on all of us and we're not commenting on you. That's it. You're our boy.
And then even I'm sorry, you go because I was about to.
No, go ahead, bro. Go.
Because even you bring up the whole spiritually,
thank you.
You deserve your due, man. Spiritually, I've seen you grow. I've seen your faith to the point where it is visible. Yeah. When we were in high school, when we were younger, we all believed in God, but you couldn't tell that we were Christians. You couldn't tell we were living a life that's.
That sounds horrible.
It's true.
I mean, I got what you mean.
You got what I mean. But you're how people know what you really believe in is through your actions.
Right,
so being able to see someone who I like visiting churches. I've been visiting your church multiple times. Most of the time, you're working.
Right.
People don't just give up their time freely. They give it up because they feel like investing in this is worth it.
Yep.
That's with anything. So like this, I believe this is worth it. My time here is worth giving up.
Right. For sure.
So I'm somebody that serves the church, so I understand how your heart has to be willing to give up that time and almost not really be receiving anything besides just the glory that you're giving to God and being happy with that.
Right.
So the fact that you've been doing that consistently on your own, not under your parents.
Yep.
Like that's something I had to get to on my own. Like when I ended up leaving my parents' church to go to Revive, that wasn't the easiest thing to do. But I knew one, my wife, the future B, was there. Yeah. And two, I knew I trusted the words that came out of Stephen's mouth.
Right.
Right.
So when I made that jump, it was natural for me to be like, you know what, I'm here. I'm gonna be here, meaning I'm going to be involved. So I totally understand. Like I appreciate seeing that in you because I know what that's like. Yeah. So I mean that's just one thing. Also, not being like super personal, but the fact that you emphasize your spirituality with Blair, because I don't know a whole bunch about Blair's background. If I'm correct, she didn't have a super deep relationship with God, or even, it was a little iffy when y'all first started. Yeah. So to see her, you do your best to get her involved. Like I don't know where it is now, but the fact that I know that you're doing your best to get her involved and help her with her journey, that's awesome.
Definitely, yeah. That's very true. And even like one thing I will say about you, Joe, that I've always appreciated. I know I can go to you in confidence, and I can definitely tell you something. I don't have to worry about the world hearing it. But also another thing, like Joe, you kept it real, and that's definitely appreciated because just saying what was up, like saying what you don't want to hear, but what needs to be said, kind of thing. And it's like also keeping it 100 in a way of, it's like it was never like he said, she said, and I always appreciated that because I'm like, you hate going to someone and like this person said it, like it wasn't like that. It's like he's like, bro, no, don't do that. Don't do that. It's not worth it. Don't do it. I'm like, okay, that's fair. So
no, that's what I was gonna say. One thing that personally, like the first thing that I noticed about you and I personally really admired about you was your sure-mindedness. I don't know if you noticed that about like yourself at the time, but it was something that I was like, I really appreciate that about him because it's something where it's like you go into something and you're like, nah, this is how it's gonna get handled. This is how it's gonna go. All right, bet. Is it? And I was like, bruh, like that was something about myself that I was basically also trying to build on. Was like go into a situation, not like waver or whatever. It's like,
you see, bro. Like I do admire that of you. Yeah. Because I don't know how I come off to people, but that's something I struggle with, my shrewdness. And only the people who are closest to me, like Jasmine, will know that that is something that I struggle with so bad. Just be going to the situation and be like, no, I'm stead firm on this because this is my foundation about it. Yeah. But you just like he said, you know that from the jump with you. Yeah. Like being around you in situations, there's not I'm sure you've had hard decisions. But when some stuff comes up around us, for the most part, you're pretty quick to be like, this is why this is why I think about this. So, I mean, that I do admire that quite a bit.
Yeah, bro. Like, you are a person that you are very much like, I'm sticking to my guns on this. You can take it or leave it. Yes. Yep. And that's something super, like, admirable, but at the same time, something that I know I personally have always been like, I want to get there on that. Yes. Like, I really appreciate that. And that's another thing, because you guys were also kind of commenting on this too, is that even I've noticed over the last few years in a lot of ways where our conversations, like outside of like the conspiracy theory stuff or whatever, pretty much or whatever, right? But even then, even some of the conspiracy theories and most of them end up dealing in the spiritual nature. Right. And that is something that you yourself wear like armor. Like that's something, like I said, that you're like, this is me, take it or leave it. Right. And I personally really appreciate that about you. But I also, even if I don't always end up being like, okay, that's this, but I appreciate your point of view and how you're looking at that in accordance to the word. And I'm thankful for that. Thankful for you, bro. Straight up.
Real life. That's real life.
Well, all right. This has been the forecast. We'll catch y'all next time, all right? Y'all take it easy.
Yo, forecast.
See y'all in 2020.
New Year's Eve, baby. We'll see y'all in 2020. You heard me?
That's
We've been rocking with y'all for most of 2019. Therefore, we'll be doing the same thing in 2020.
Yes, sir. That's it.
Yeah.
And like that, we gone.
You had it.
We gonna start this thing alright. You all in the motherfucking house. Come on, come on. Do it, baby, take it, baby. Do it, baby, take it, baby. Do it, baby, take it, baby. Do